Going back to Magua, Panua, Yerushalayim, stand and face Jerusalem. Blessing of the Sabbath. Barakatah Yahweh, Basham, Yahweh, Asherah, Nathan Manawa, Hashabak, Bashalawam, the water, Amen. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the Sabbath and peace. Thank you, so be it. The Aliyah Ma'ah Asherah Machad, Psalms 121. Anya Harayam Mayim Ye Oh Harim Mayan Yabawa Azarye Yabawa Mayahu Shashay Shemayim Warataza Yanathan Lamawat Regalia Yela Yanawam Shashua Marka Hanela Yanawam Wa Yeshan Shashua Mar Yeshivele Yehawah Shemarie Yehawah Tazalia Ayub Yim Yawamam Hashamash La Hakaya Wayarak La Balayala Yahweh Yashamaria Makab Rai Yashamar Napasha Yahweh Yashamar Hawalakya Wabawaya my third will I will Basham Yahushai the water Amen.
Psalms 121. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help? My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. Even when I suffer thy foot to be moved, he that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. Amen.
Amen. Shema Yasharala, hero Israel. Shema Yasharala, Yahweh, Elohim, Yahweh, Echad. Shema Yasharala, Yahweh, Elohim, Yahweh, Echad. Shema Yasharala, Yahweh, Elohim, Yahweh, Echad.
Deuteronomy 6:4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Amen.
Amen. Tapala Yahweh, the Lord's Prayer. Abinawe Shabbat Shemayim Kodash Hayye Shamke Yahweh Malakwaka Taba'at Ratazawanke Hayye Aisha Baratizam Kabashemayim Natamanawe Lacham Yawam Zad Wasalaknawe Kabawat Nawe Kasalaknawe Kabawat Yanawe Wala Abiyanawe O Nasayawan Abo Awishinawe Murad Kaye Laka Hamalakwa Wa Ale Wa Thaparat Wa Walam Aman.
Matthew 6:9. After this manner therefore pray, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Amen. Ha'ai Sharam Atazawah, the Ten Commandments. La'ab Yahayab Lakab Alahayam La'ab Taishab Lakab Paso Taibadam La'ab Yahweh Alahayakab La'ath Hayawam Akabat Abiyakab Wa'amad Taratazak La'ab Taganab Tainat Shakur Mad Ko Akab Aman.
Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold it guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gate. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth and the sea and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and holiday unto thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Amen.
Amen. Yeshabwa, be seated. Barakatea Hawa, by Shimi Hawa Shai, Asharana, Tanawa, Pari Agapan, Tuara Aman. By Hawa, by Shimi Hawa Shai, Af Yashara. English translation: Blessed are Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the fruit of the vine. Thank you, so be it. To Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, with Israel. I'm Adwa, Panua, Jerusalem, stand and face Jerusalem. Barakata Yahweh, Agada, Rakawam, Abiyah, Wanawa, Al Yawan, Malak, Shal, Shamayim, Warataza, Wakal, Dabayim, Kayayam, Wagam, Hamashiach, Mayahawe, Arawanawe, Ahabnawe, Apale, Yawa Aitiza, Yahawashai, Zakarnawe, Yahawe, Bartazawan, Ainke, Yashale, Izarnawe, Bane, Wasap, Yashale, O Nanawe, Yam Yen, Aife, Kayawamyam, Makudam, Babakushay, Shalak, Mike Ale, Watazwadak, Alahayam, Le, Maganawe, Raparnawe, Washamab, Alnawe, Bakur, Shalak, Haruka, Shao, Yawashai, Lanawe, Lalamanawe, Rabiam, Kakame, Tabawane, Wada Aif, Shao, the Barka, Basham, Yehoshai, the Wada, Them Yad, Waiwalam, Aman. English translation: Blessed are you, Yahweh, the great, merciful, mighty, terrible, most high power, King of heaven and earth and all things living, and also the anointed from Yahweh, our Lord, our friend, the wonderful counselor, Yahweh Shai. Remember us, Yahweh, favorably your people Israel. Help us build and gather Israel, Most High, we beg you, right now, like the days of old. Please send Michael and the righteous powers to protect us, heal us, and watch over us. Mainly send the spirit of Yahweh Shai to us, to teach us much wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of thy word. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you, always and forever, so be it. Repeat the Hebrew only. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the law. Barakata Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, Asherat, Natan Lanawa, Hatawarat. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us light to see. Barakata Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, Asherat, Natan Lanawa, Awar, Lara Awat. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the ram's horn to call the people. Barakata Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, Asherat, Natan Lanawat, Karan, Hayo, Lakora, Ha'aim. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the olive oil to anoint Israel. Barakatha Yahweh,
Barakatah
Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai,
Hashem Yahweh Shah,
Asherat,
Asherah,
Nathan Manawa,
Nathanael,
Hasheman,
Hasheman,
Zayef,
Zayah,
Lamashak,
Lavashah,
Yasha'ala,
Yasha'al,
Yeshabwa. You see that?
Tell me right.
Scratch money.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly, right? Yeah. I know.
Okay, so Shalom Yasharala.
Shalom.
So Shalom, everybody here watching this on live stream. And Shalom Yasharala Kanas, or the Congregation of Israel, where we teach that the so-called Black, Latin, and Native American have lost now found. That we fall into a lower state because we broke the laws of God and the Bible given to us by Moses. By turning back to the commandments we broke. Today's a Sabbath day, from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. And this morning, the Sabbath, we're going to be going into Matthew 27. Once again, Matthew 20 days reading. I'll be presiding over the service today. And for yours, it's right down. Today is July the 14th. And according to our calendar, it would be the 5th month and what day would it be? You know, when the month would it be according to our Hebrew calendar? Hmm?
Is it second day?
Yeah.
Oh, what is it?
When was the new moon? Right. When was the new moon? I'm saying. No. When was the new?
Thursday night.
Right.
Thursday evening.
Exactly. Thursday. You just say Thursday, folks in the world may not know.
Okay.
So right, Thursday evening.
At sundown.
Right. That means once Friday at evening came, which began to be the second day, and we're still in it until sundown. Sunsets today will be in the third day. Right? That's how that works. 26 by Bar Ra'ash, or in the Hebrew first. I mean, in the Hebrew. So, you, you,
26. Oh, yeah.
okay, come. So, maybe ya kakowa how the barium waya ama o talama thumb yadaitam kaya yawamyam ya fasak wa bun adam ya yamasalaha kazala 3 hanyam ha garawoyam ha wa aim o ha tazar ha kahan wo ha nakwara koyapa 4 wa ya khadwa latha pash 4 ya wisha ba irala hama yathwa 5 marwa akla bakhag pun ba'ain 6 wa yahya ayubayaf ayanya ama tazarai 7 wa sha wa pak shaman ma'ad wa fatazak ayl ashwa hathal hathal Yadi 9. Kaya Azah Haya Ra'oya Lahamakar Bamakar Rab Walathafwa La or that rather La Aini Yayama Ya Aishi Ra Okay, so let's continue on. I'll read 13. It says, Aman Amar Anya Lakam Ba'ashara Akora Abashawara Azaath Bakol Aiwalam Gum Ath Ashara Haya'a Aishata Tasapar La Zakarwan Laha 14. Wayalak Akhad Mashanyam Aishara Anakura Yahawada Ayash Korea Wath O Ra'ashya Kahanya 15. Waya Amar Ma Tanwa Liya Wa Ma Sa Ranwa Bayadkam Waya Shakwa Lawa Shalashim Kasa 16. Waman Ha'ait Ahaya'a Wa Bakwash Ta'ana Lamasar Awatwa 17. Wayahaya Bara Ashwan Lachag Hamatazawat Waya Gashwa Athalama Athalamayad Yam O Yahawashai Lamar Ba'yaza Makwam Thakwa Bakha Pataz Kaya Nakayan Laka La Ko Ath Pasak 18. Wayamar Lakwa Ayara O Palanya Alamanya Wa Martam Al Yawa Ka Amar Arab Aithia Quara Waba Aya'a Wa Babayathka Aisha Ath Pasak Aim Alamayad Ya 19. Waya Aishwa Athalamayad Yam Ka'ashara Tazawam Yahawashan Waya Kayanwa Ath Pasak 21. Wayahaya Ba'irab Waya Sab Ain Shanyam Aishara 21. Waba'a Kalam Waya Amar Aman Amar Anya Lakam Kaya Akhad Makam Yama Sar Yamasarnia 22. Waya Thai Tazabwa Ma'ad Waya Kawa Ayash Wa Ayash La Amar Lawa Ha Anakya Hawa'a Adanya 23. Waya Ain Waya Amar Ayash Ashara Tabo Anya Ath Yadwa Bakwa Ira Hawa'a Yamasaranwa 24. Hun Bun Adam Alawak Yalak Lawa Kakathawab Ail Yawa Abo Awaya La Ayash Hawa'a Ashara Ail Yadwa Yamasar Bun Adam Tawab La Ayash Hawa'a La Nawalad 25. Waya Ain Yahawada Ha Masar Awatwa Waya Amar Rabaya Anya Hawa'a Waya Amar Olyawa Ata Amarta 26. Waba Kalam Waya Kwak Yahushai Af Alacham Waya Barak Waya Batzai Waya Thun La Thalamayad Yam Waya Amar Kwakwa Kowa Za Hawa Gawapya 27. Waya Kwak Af Ha Kawas Waya Barak Waya Thun Laham La Amar Shatwa Mamaniya like Mamana Kalakam 28. Kaya Za Hawa Damya Dam Abarayath Ha Khadasha Ana Shapak Ba'aid Rabiam La Salaya Khaf Khatayim 29. Wa Anya Amar Lakam Kaya Ma'aita Shathala Ashata Matan Wabaf Agapan Haza'ath Aid Haya Wam Hahawa'a Ashura Ashata Ata Ainkam Kharasha Bama Lakwath Abaya 30. Wa Yahya Akhaya Gamaram Af Ahalo Waya Tazawa O Har Hazayath 31. Az Amar Al Yaham Yahawashai Thum Kalakam Laka Showa Baya Balayala Balayala Haza Kaya Kathawab Akaaf Haraiha Watha Pa Watazian Pa Tazaan 32. Wakarya Kwa Wamya Alak Lapanyakam Agalayala 33. Waya Ain Patarwas Waya Amar Lawa Gum Kaya Ya Kashowa Baka Kalam Anya La'aiwalam La'a Akasho 34. Waya Amar O Yawa Yahawashai Aman Amar Anya Laka Kaya Balayala Za Kataram Yakura Hathara Nagwo Thakachash Baya Shalash Ha'anya 35. Waya Amar Olyawa Patarwas Gum Kaya Yahya Ilya Lamawath Afka Kakash La'a Akakash Baka Wakan Amawa Gum Ko Hathalamayad 36. Akarya Kan Ba'a Atham Yahawashai O Katazar Anakwara Gath Shamanya Waya Amar O Hathalamayad Yam Shabwa Lakam Pa Aid Ashara Alak Shema Waha Thapalothia Wahathapalothia, 37. Wayaquak Athwa Ath Patarwas, Waath Shanya, Banya, Zabadya, Wayakal, Lahai Tazab, Wala Mawag. 38. Waya Amar, Laham, Napasha, Mara, Laya Aid, Awath, Aimadwa Pa, Washakwadwa, Aimya. 39. Wayalak, Ma'ait, Ala'a, Waya Po Isle, Panyawa, Waya Palo, La Amar, Abiya, Yawako, Lahayawath, Thaibar, Na, Ma'ilya, HaKawas, HaZa'ath, Akla'a, Karataza 1 Ya, Kaya, Karataza 1 Ka, 40. Waya Ba'al O, Hathalamayad Yam, Waya Mataza Waya Salakwa Shanyam, Waya Amar O, Patarwas, Hana La'a, Kaya, Baya Kalath Kam, La Shakwad, Anya, Shaiha, Akath, 41. Shakwadwa Wahatha Palo Wa, Pan Thabaawa, Layadya, Nasaya 1, Nasaya 1, Han, Haroka, Haya'a, Apa Taza, Wayabashar, Awa'a, Rapa. 43. Wayawa Sap, Lalakath, Lawa, Shanayath, Waya Thapalo, La Amar, Abiyah, La'a, Thawako, Ha Kawas, Ha Za'ath, La'ai Bar, Mumniya, Maboya, Shetha Wathya, Atha Haya'a, Yahya, Karataza 1Ka. 43. Wayaba'a, Waya Mataza Gum, Papa'ain, Haza'ath, Yeshanyam Kaya, Ayan Yaham, Hayawa, Kabatwa. 44. Wayan Yaham, Waya Wasap, Lalakath, Waya Thapalo, Shalayash Yath, Ba'amarwa, Iwad, Ha'pa'ain, Kadabar Hazah. 45. Waya Ba'a, O, Ha, Thalamayad Yam, Waya Amar, Al Yaham, Nawamwa, Ma'aita, Wana Wakwa, Ana, Hashaiha, Kwar, Hor, Waba, Waban, Adam, Namasar, La Yadya, Khataya. 46. Wamwa, Wanala Ka, Ana, Alak, Wakorab, Wamasar, Awakwa. 47. Iwad Nawa, Madabar, Wahana Ba'a, Yahawada, Akhad, Mashanyam, Aishara, Wa'aimwa, Amawan, Rab, Bakarabwa, Waba Mako, Wath, Ma'af, Ra'ashia, Hakahanyam, Wazakwanya, A'aim. 48. Wahamasar, Athwa, Nathan, Laham, Awath, La'amar, Ha'ayash, Asherah, Ashakwawa, Za, Hawa'a, Thapasha Wawa, Thapasha Wawa. 49. Hamayad, Nagash, O, Yahawashai, Waya Amar, Shalawam, Laka, Rabbiya, Waya Shak, Lawa, 50. Waya Amar, O Yawa, Yahawashai, Ra'aya, Ayo, Ma, Ba'ath, Salak, Ba'atha, Waya Gashwa, Waya Shalakwa, Ath, Yad Yaham, Ba Yahawashai, Waya Pashwa, Athwa, 51. Wahana, Akhad, Man, Nashim, Asherah, Ain Yahawashai, Shalak, Yadwa, Weshalak, Karabwa, Wayak Ath, Ibad, Hakahan, Garawo, Wayakwa, Tazataz, Ath, Azanwa, 52. Shalom. 52. Waya Amar, Elyawa, Yahawashai, Hashab, Ath, Karabka, O, Tha'ira, Kaya, Ko, Akhazia, Kharab, Bakharab, Ya Badwa. 53. Or Haya Kashab, Lab, Kakaya, La'a, Yako, Thea, Lasha'o, Aitha, Ma'af, Abia, Wahawa'a, or Wahawa'a, Yataza, Wa, Laya, Yothar, Mashanyam, Aishara, Lagaya, One Wath, Sho, Malaakyam, 54. Wa'a, Ya, Kaka, Apawa, Yamalawa, Wabiam Kaya, Kan, Haya, Thahaya, 55. Basha'aiha, Hahaya'a, Amar, Yahawashai, La'ab, Hama, 1, Ha'aim, Ka'ayo, Parayataz, Salak, Parayataz, Yatazatham, Bakharabwath, Wabama, Quowath, Latha Pashniya, Wayawam, Yawam, Ha, Yayathia, Shab, Wamala, Mad, Tzolkam, Makodash, Wala'a, Ha, Kazaktham, Baya, 56. Wakol, Za'ath, Hayatha, Lamala'ath, Kathabya, Hanabayayim, Az, Izab, Wawa, Afalamayadyam, Kalam, Wayana Waswa. 57. Waha Nashim, Asherah, the Pashwa Ath, Yahawashai, Wo Yakawa, O Hoyapa, Kahan, Gadawo Asherah, Nakwahowa, Sham, Hasawa Asoparium, whereas Quanium, 58. Wa Patarwas, Halak, Akaryawa, Marakawak, Aid, La Katazar, Ha Kahan, Ha Garawo, Wahaba'a, Panyama, Waya Shab, Lawa, Atazo, Hama Sharathium, Larawath, Ath, Akariath, Dabar, 59. Wahaka Hanyam, Wagara Wolium, Wa Zaquanium, Wako, Hasana Ha Wasana Hadarian, Bakwashwa, Aidwath, Shakur, Yahawashai, Lahama Yathwa, Wala'a Matazawa, 60. Wa'ap, Ba'aimad, Sham, Idya, Shakur, Rabiam, La'a, Matazawa, Waba'a Kar, Wana, Nagashwa, Shanya, Idya, Shakur, 61. Waya Amarwa, Za, Amar, Yash, Wayaka La Thaya, La Haras Ath, Ayako Ha Alahayam, Wala Watwa Shalawab, Labana Wathwa, Ba Shalashath, Yawamyam, 62. Wayakwan Ha Kahan, Ha Garawo, Waya Amar, Olyawa, Ha Ayanka, Ma Shayab, Dabar, Al Ashara, Ainwa, Baka, Oha, 63. Wa Yahawashai, Akaryam, Akaryash, Waya Ain, Ha Kahan, Ha Garawo, Waya Amar, Lawa, Ma Shabayai, Ka, Anya, Ba Alahayam, Kayayam, Shatha Amar, Lanawa, Ta, Hawa'a, Hama, Shiyak, Ban, Ha Alahayam. 64. Waya Amar, Alyawa, Yahawashai, Ata, Ya Amarta, Abo, Anya, Ashar, Lakam, Kaya, Ma'aita, Thara'awa, Ath, Ban, Ha'adam, Yashab, La Yamyan, Hagabawara, can't say it, Hagabawara, Waba'a, Aim, Ainanya, Ha Shemayim, 65. Wayakura, Hakahan, Hagarawa, Ath, Badanyawa, Waya Amar, Hawa'a, Gadap, Wama, Lanawa, Aiwad, Labakwash, Aigyam, Ana, Aita, Shemaitam, Ath, Karawapwa, 66. Ma, the Aithkam, Waya Ainwa, Waya Amarwa, Ayash, Mawath Hawa, 67. Waya Rakwa, Bapanywa, Wahakawa, Ba'a Garwap, Waya Karyam, Hakawa, Ayo, Halakya, 68. Waya Amarwa, Hanaba, Lanawa, Ha Mashayak, Maya, Hawa'a, Hamaka, Awath, 69. Wa patarwas yeshab macha wataz labayath bachatzar wa thagash o yawa shapcha la mar gum atha hayayath hayayatha ain yahawashai agalyolya 70. Waya kachash Papanya Kalam La Amar La Yada Aithya Ma Ath Amartha 71. Where Tazar O Pathak Ashair Wathara'a Awatwa Akharath Watha Amar La Nashyam Ashara Sham Gum Za Haza Ain Yahawashai Hana Tazarya 72. Waya Wasap La Kash Waya Shabai La Amar La A Yada Aithya Ath Ha Ayash 73. Wakama Ait Akarya Kan Waya Gashwa Ai Madyam Sham Waya Amarwa O Patarwas Amath Kaya Gum Ata Maham Kaya Gum Lashawanka Magala Wathka 74. Wayako Lahakaryam Ath Napashwa Wa Lahashabai La Amar La A Yada Aithya Ath Haayash Wamayad Hora Athara Nagwo 75. Waya Zakar Patarwas Ath Debar Yahushan Asherah Amar Alyawa La Amar Bataram Yakora'ah Athara Nagwo Thakashat Kash Baya Shalash Ba'anyam Wayataza Hakawataza Waya Maror Babak. Yeah. Okay.
That was good, brother.
All praises.
All praise to the Most High.
It was a
Long chapter.
exactly. So this is Matthew 26 now in the English, and if we don't know already, what we're reading, of course, is in the Gospel of Matthew in particular, the time leading up to the crucifixion of our Lord and Savior. Right? The events preceding that, and we're going to see that the time of year that it's in as well, which is the time of the spring, since the people are getting ready to keep the Passover during this time. This is Matthew 26 and 1, and if you have links, feel free to bring them out. But let's just try to keep it succinct and just pull a link up. So I won't be reading most of them because we could be here for quite some time, because there's a lot of harmony between this gospel and the other gospels like Mark and Luke in particular, and also parts of John. So I'll pull verses, just make sure you take them down, and if you haven't read them already, when you're reading over this during the week, just review over it, because to read these verses and all the sections of verses that link in the other verses, we'd be here for quite some time. Like I said, I'm just going to give those references and just kind of, for the most part, paraphrase what they say, and just review them in your own time. So this is Matthew 26, verse 1. Matthew 26.
Okay.
So Matthew 26, in verse 1, it reads, "And it came to pass, when Jesus, or as we say in the Hebrew, Yahushua, had finished all these sayings, he said thus unto his disciples, you know that after 2 days is the feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified." Right? So at that time, at that year, it was in the spring, a couple days before the Passover was going to come in. And he's telling them what's going to happen because he knows the Most High showed him, right? That he would be crucified. He's known this pretty much all his life. He's been getting his disciples ready these 3 years of his ministry at this time, right? Because we know he was around 33 when he died. He started his ministry around 30, right? Similar to the priest of old. You read the order of the priests back in Leviticus and Numbers. He would act as that high priest over the entire nation. So it says, once again, you know that after 2 days is the feast of Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified. So from this verse down to 5, you write this in your links. You can link this with Mark chapter 14, verses 1 and 2. Mark 14, 1 and 2. Also, you can write down Luke chapter 22, verses 1 and 2. Once again, Luke chapter 22, verses 1 and 2, to link with Matthew 26, verses 2 down to about 5.
Okay, Luke 22 and what?
1 to 2.
Let me go to Matthew
26, 2 to 5. So it reads again, Matthew 26 and 2. You know that after 2 days is the feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified. Then assembled together the chief priests and the scribes and the elders of the people unto the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas, and consulted that they might take Jesus by subtlety and kill him. But they said, not on the feast day, lest there be an uproar among the people. Right? So see the leaders at that time, right? The chief priests, the scribes, and the elders of the people, they're contriving to what? Kill our Lord and Savior. Right? As some of them, certain of them knew exactly who he was, right? Saw it to be convenient that they take him out because he threatened their authority, right? And as we're going to read, they're going to try him on things that he did that was wrong, that they're not going to find anything. So they're going to have to trump up a charge on him.
and this is where they saying that Yahushua was wrong in their own ways.
Exactly. Not according to the truth, as far as acknowledging who he was, acknowledging his authority, as those that believed on him did. So they took counsel amongst themselves, saying, we don't want to do it during the time of the Passover. There might be an uproar, right? It's not even thinking about, the spirit behind the Passover and that they all should be in, that they should be, appreciative and just amazed, as, I hope that I would have been, knowing that, wow, the one the one is the Son of God is actually in the earth. He's come in the flesh.
Right. And I could, be able to see him.
Exactly. They're just trying to think about, business as usual. Get him out the way so that they can continue their business.
Right. But they feel that he was threatened.
Exactly. So unfortunate. But hey, it's all according to prophecy.
No, sir. They knew some things about him, about Yahushua. They know about that he had power. They knew that he had the type of power.
Yeah, I mean, some of them saw it. People came to them, and they had their own people go out and see him do his works, and they will report back to him, or report back to the high priest.
Right. And go ahead.
And even tells you too that I think Caiaphas in particular knew who he was and said, in council, and said how it was convenient for them to actually put him to death. It would be a convenient kill for the people, as far as maintaining, taking them out of the picture and also maintain their authority that they got with their league from the Romans. So the Romans were the dominant empire at that time.
Okay.
But also one thing was on the nation itself, or under biblical system. So they weren't under any democratic party, socialist, any of that nature. It was mostly biblical. Just to show you, the Bible is not just a religious book; it's a book of law where you can rule a nation.
Right.
Move under that biblical priesthood, under the
Right.
Absolutely. Say it again, brother, a little louder. Is it 501c3? Uh-uh. He's talking about the law itself, not anything created now, or even anything created by the Romans, but first 5 books, and the prophets and the writings. Like what he's saying is they govern the whole nation under that. Like when we talk about Solomon, for example, we can say, Solomon actually had peace in the earth, and he governed everybody, any other nations, with the first 5 books. Because we always oftentimes put the Bible into, oh, it's religious. You talk about the Bible, they say, oh, I don't want to get into religion. The Bible talks about, quote unquote, religious matters or how to serve a higher power, but it goes into, civil matters, moral matters, right? Dietary matters, ways to treat your own body, other things. So it covers all angles of life. So come.
like when we hear today, they say the rule of law. This was our law.
Okay.
But if anything was to be judged for the court, everything was like.
It really does a disservice. People talk about, don't judge me. Only God can judge me. It's like Scripture's supposed to give us that understanding where we'll get on the Most High's level, at least understand the way He saw things, and then deal with each other according to His judgment. Where it's like, we had to run to Him for everything. Certain things He made very clear, so that we can deal in those matters. Like it says in Corinthians, how is it you go to the law of the unjust and not before the saints? Don't you know the saints will judge the world? If you are to judge the world, talking about us that know the truth, are you not unworthy to judge small matters? So we're supposed to be judging, but according to a righteous judgment, right? Shouldn't be this ambiguous, oh, you can't tell me what to do, because I believe, and that's it. That's just confusion.
Area. How shall that law that they had, took out the Howard Shah, that was their law, and that was what the people were going underneath, right?
No, it was the Most High's law, but he was falsely accused. As you read down, we're going to see it.
Oh, okay. It was the Most High's law, but they went against it. Yeah,
because I'll get to it when we read down. It's going to explain, and I'll pull verses to show it.
Okay.
So let's read on. So verse 6. Now when Jesus, or Yahushua, was in Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper, right, where he did that miracle, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box, a very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, to what purpose is this waste? This ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor. Right? So you see this woman that came in with this box full of precious ointment, poured on his head. You read the other gospel, one it says that she even poured it on his feet and wiped her hair with his feet. His feet with her hair. Right? So they're looking at it from a carnal perspective, saying, oh, this ointment we could have sold, right? Like we might sell oils right now, for business. We could have sold this and made money, and then with that money, put it towards the treasury, right? So you could say, without really knowing exactly what, why she did that, like I'm not to say it's evil to, make money to give to the poor,
Mm-hmm.
but they were kind of looking at the situation very narrowly to where Christ had to clear up what purpose that served. That's why in verse 10 it says, when Jesus understood it, he said unto them, why trouble you the woman? For she had wrought a good work upon me. Right? So not that it was bad, but that it was good. What she did. Why? Verse 11, ye had the poor always with you, but me had ye not always. Right? So you're going to have the poor with you all the time as you go and do the works after I go. Right? You're always going to have them with you, but I'm not always going to be here with you. Right? Because he knows that it's his time to go. Right?
Right. He knows. He knows.
He's coming close to the time of his crucifixion. That's why he says in verse 12, for in that she had poured this ointment on my body that, right, I can't, let me read again. For in that she had poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. See that?
Right.
So this was like a symbolic gesture. Same way you would anoint the body with oils and spices, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you embalm them, that's the purpose that this served, right?
Right.
It says in 13, verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this, that this woman hath done, be told for memorial of her. So now from 6, we read down to about 13, this whole section.
Mm-hmm.
You can link this with Mark chapter 13. I'm sorry, Mark chapter 14, verses 3 to 9.
Let me see.
Just Mark 14, verses 3 to 9.
Right underneath.
And tomorrow, Luke, yeah.
So Mark chapter 14, verse 3 to 9.
Oh, Mark chapter 14. You read all that.
No, this is a link. Link this up where we read in Matthew.
Oh, that ain't nothing. You gonna read that?
No.
What else read?
So where
I'm
you-
just giving a phrase.
So where you at?
That's what I was saying earlier, because for time's sake, we're going to be a while if I read
Yeah,
each
I
of these
know.
links.
I see how long it is.
I'm just going to give the
Yeah.
paraphrase and then just make sure you have the verse down so you can study it
I'm just the first two.
So where you at now?
on your own.
In Matthew 11, 14. Where you saying Matthew chapter? I mean. 26.
Right. So the link, right?
Link
Link it with verse 6 to 13.
Oh,
Write that first.
6 to 13.
Right, of Matthew 26. And then next to that, write down Mark 14, 3 to 9.
Or,
That way when you go back to your notes, you know how it all connects.
all right, so Mark
Mark.
chapter
14,
14, go ahead.
verses 3 to 9.
Okay.
And also John chapter 12, 1 to 8. John chapter 12, verses 1 to 8. You'll link that as well. And when you read the other Gospels, what it reveals is that this woman is Mary, sister to Martha and Lazarus, the one who anointed him with the spikenard.
So John goes from 6 to 13. Too?
Yes. So Mark 14, 3 to 9, John 12, 1 to 8. Both of those link with Matthew 26, 6 to 13.
Okay.
So you read the other ones, it tells you that the ointment was spikenard, right? A certain type of ointment. Another gospel tells you who it actually is, that it's Mary, the sister of Martha and Lazarus, right? The one that Christ did the miracle. Christ did the miracle where he raised him from the dead. So that they're family.
I just found out that was Mary and
Martha.
Lazarus
Mhm.
were brothers and sisters. I didn't know that. We talked about it yesterday.
Right.
So y'all did something else.
No, I found Rodney knew, but I asked him. He didn't know that's the sister. So I went in the Bible and found out.
Right. So this is Matthew 26 in verse 14 now. Continuing on. It says in verse 14, then one of the 12 called Judas Iscariot went unto the chief priests, which Christ knew, but the disciples didn't know that what? He would be the one to betray our Lord and Savior, right? Because he mentioned it to him in previous times, right?
Who's
That-
the one going to betray you?
Judas Iscariot.
Or Judas? Okay. 14.
right? Even today they have that phrase they use, right? They say so and so is a Judas, right? It's become synonymous with anyone who's a sellout or betrays a cause, right?
Right. Judah. Judah, right?
Right, because he's infamous as far as the role he played in betraying Christ. You know, amongst men and amongst the heavens, right?
Right. So you know
He's known.
betrayed.
Mm-hmm. It says in verse 15, and said unto them, so he's going to the chief priests, and he said unto them, what will ye give me? And I will deliver him unto you. And they covenant with him for 30 pieces of silver. Right? So he said, yeah, I'll tell you where he's at to go get him up, to go grab him up.
Right.
What are you going to give me in return? And he said, 30 pieces of silver. Right? Now, this is even prophesied as far as Christ being betrayed for 30 pieces of silver, because we know he's worth much more than that. Right? But it all had to fulfill prophecy. Right? But you can link this verse 15 with Zechariah chapter 11, verses 12, and also verse 13. Once again, Zechariah chapter 11, verse 12 and verse 13, you link with Matthew 26 and 15.
Zechariah, what now? Say again?
Chapter 11,
Chapter 11.
verses 12 to 13.
13. Zechariah.
Mm-hmm. Just where Zechariah prophesied Christ's life, him being betrayed for 30 pieces of silver. Judas is fulfilling that prophecy, right? Even though it's a wrong thing, it had to happen, right? Verse 16, and from that time he sought opportunity to betray him. So now reading on, verse 17, it says, now the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus, or Yahushua, saying unto him, where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat the Passover? Right, so the time has come when now we're going to keep the Passover that year. And he said, go into the city to such a man and say unto him, the master saith, my time is at hand. I will keep the Passover at thy house with my disciples. And the disciples did as Jesus had appointed them, and they made ready the Passover. Now you can link verse 17 to 19, we just read. We read this with Mark chapter 14.
What?
Mark 14, 3 and 9 again?
Verses 12 to 16.
Well, what?
To 16. And also you can link it with Luke 22. Verses 7 to 13.
All four of these books go together. Just another way of saying it.
But the order is necessarily the same,
Right.
so it's kind of. But pretty much Luke 22, Mark 14, you generally find the same events here in Matthew 26. Right. Like the metaphor we like to use is like watching sports, and you got the camera that's on the sideline.
That's right. You
get the overhead camera, you get the end zone. Right. So you see it from one angle, you might not be able to see what happened with the play as far as whether they were in bounds or not. And from another angle, you can see, oh, I can see his foot now. It was on the line or wasn't on the line. So if you take all the vantage points together, you get a fuller picture of what took place. That's how the Gospels work together. Hence, in the back of a lot of Bibles, you'll see what they call the harmony of the Gospels. You'll see different stories, right, or different parables being taught, different situations. You'll see Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. You'll see where you'll have verses for those events in those different Gospels.
Before we go on our break, we got during our break, while we just sitting here, we got a statement to bring up to you. We just want to find out. You got what that one up the other night? We got something like that for you.
Okay.
You want before and everybody else here too.
All right. Excellent.
Keep reading, bro. Riley gonna ask you, me and him already talked about it.
Okay. So those verses link with, once again, Matthew 26, 17 to 19. This is what they talk about. They call the upper room, right? When they met in the upper rooms, that was this place that they got from this guy to use for the Passover. Showing you that, you can keep the Passover at different places, but the key is to keep it.
They had a movie about that, the upper room and watch.
And one might say, it was just like somebody that they didn't know, because they didn't tell you the name of the person. But it had to be somebody that you're outshining with the disciples.
Right.
They sent him. Even though it said such a man, it's not like they sent him just to just go there and then just pick somebody. It was somebody that they knew. That said, go to so and so. But that right here, they didn't tell you who it was. Right. That's why you don't get into detail. What's the most important is sent him to somebody.
Yeah, just like when they sent him to the man who had the donkey. We rode into Jerusalem, right? From Jericho. Mosai had the man there at the right time, at the right place. It wasn't like, oh, the room's booked, so sorry, like Mosai had everything laid out, and to do what they had to do for the Passover. Because as we're going to read, he has some very important things to share with them, right? As this is a very important time. And we have it as a record today to read, to reflect on. Just like we read about with the sister pouring the spikenard on Christ's head. We had that as a memorial to read. That's why every time we do Passover, we oftentimes go through these scriptures and say, yes, here's what Christ did with the disciples when he kept Passover back then. Right. So many congregations will read the same verse as a memorial, right? Along with the other events as we go through. So it says in verse 20, now when the even was come, he sat down with the 12. So they're in the first month and the 14th day even that year.
Say that date again?
The first month and the 14th day.
In verse 20?
Right. We should all know that, right? That's the day. That's when the Passover comes in.
Okay, my bad. First month, 14th day.
At even.
Okay. Evening day. Evening. I'm very sorry. Okay.
So he sat down with his main 12 disciples. It says, and as they did eat, he said, verily or truly I say unto you, that one of you shall betray me. Right? So Christ already knows, like we said, but the disciples don't know. And the disciple that is going to do it, he's already in the motions, right, of doing it. Verse 22, and they were exceeding sorrowful, and began every one of them to say unto him, Lord, is it I? Right? Because like we said, we hope that we're going to stay in the truth till Christ comes back, right? But we don't know. Before it's all said and done, before Christ makes a second coming, we may go back into the world, right? And God forbid we go back into the world and then we die in this life, it's like, oh man. So we're pretty close when Christ's coming back, we I don't want to say for sure, but we can perhaps assume that we won't come back in our third and fourth generation. Like we won't have that much time to come back again to follow Christ, right? But even that's speculation. But the point is, this life that you have, you don't know how many days you have promised. So all the days that you have knowing the truth, the idea is to stay in it. If you don't want to go out of the truth, go back in the world, and then Most High just take you out, because that'll be how you end it. Will be what really was really remembered, not the time you spent in the truth. Like the scripture said, better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof, right? So, let's make sure as we know this truth, as we're called, we do what's necessary to stay in and to stay rooted.
And also, if we look at verse 20, it says, verse 20, it says, now when the even was come, the day started. And then that's when the feast started.
All right. That's why y'all had y'all there at the evening.
Right. Was that wasn't clear, or?
Say that again? Right.
It's speaking of the new day. It doesn't say it specifically. It doesn't say it specifically, but when we do the feast, so when we start at even, so that we know.
Right. So everyone understands when I said the 14th day at even, that means the evening when the sun sets.
Yeah. That's what it is.
So at evening, that's when the new day begins.
Right.
That's sunrise.
So the 14th day at evening is really the 15th day.
When the sun sets, the 15th day begins.
Like after 12.
No.
No.
Not 12. We're
Sun-
going
Sun
to
go down.
Sunset.
God clock.
In America,
You are
it's
right.
after 12, but
The water.
in the Bible, it's
Don't ever assume. Everybody.
At 12.
I can. Let's get a verse for edification.
That was just a figure of speech.
I will get you on it.
He all right. At least you know what he's talking about. He I understand what you're saying though. So we've been programmed and trained like that. You got to be working more at 7 o'clock. We've been trained like that. So
Right.
I understand why you say that.
Mhm.
That's what we know.
I get it, I get it. But
I get it now.
It seems like, it's like something that is so subtle, but you missed it,
Yeah, you gonna tell when your buddy gets in the street,
Right.
look at you crazy. What? Hey, shut up.
Exactly.
It makes sense. And no, it do make sense.
And if we can't explain it to someone
Well,
else,
now we know how to explain it.
now you and them are confused.
Right, no, well, okay, all right.
Yeah. It's when the day begins. Is when the sunshine, sunrise. Now they're looking at you crazy. So Deuteronomy 16:6. Write it down. Circle it. Put shields next to it,
Yeah, mm-hmm.
where it clears up what even actually means. And you
Okay.
can connect that with verse 20.
Deuteronomy 16:6.
Yes. You don't have to get it. Just write it down.
Deuteronomy,
16:6.
wanna read it? Take a second. I can have read real good. All right then, second. Can we read that right now?
Just write it down. It's okay.
You don't wanna read it?
For time's sake, we got to flow because we got a lot of verses.
Oh, I got it highlighted. Ooh,
Even better.
say sunset. Read it, Nabia.
So Deuteronomy 16:6. Link that with Matthew 26 and verse 20.
I like that. Now, you should read it, because you're a nice person. The little man don't know.
So let's continue on. Back in Matthew 26, it says in verse 22, and they were exceeding sorrowful and began every one of them to say unto him, Lord, is it I? So they're all wondering who's the one that betrayed him, right?
Mhm.
23. He answered and said, he that dippeth his hand with me in the dish, the same shall betray me. Right? So as they're eating their food, that Passover, same one that dips his hand in the dish, it says he's going to be the one to betray.
What he's saying as the clue, well, he already knew, but he's trying to explain to his disciples, give them a clue. Who's
Exactly. Exactly.
Was he around when he dipped his hand in the dish? Or they
Right.
don't know?
They don't know, but it's gonna happen as they sit down and eat.
Oh, okay. So he told them ahead of time.
Right.
That this was going to happen.
I'm not sure if it goes into first and whatnot, but just at the same time as Christ. That's what's really important. So you can link that, because this is mentioned in other Gospels too, and also this is part of a prophecy actually in Psalms concerning Christ's betrayal and how that will be manifested, and it's happening at this time. You'll link verse 23 with Luke 22. Let me know when you have that. Luke 22.
Luke 22.
What verse?
Verse 21.
There you go.
Also, you can write down,
Luke 22, 21.
yeah, you can write down also St. John, chapter 13. in verse 18. And then the psalm where it's David in the spirit writes about what will happen to Christ. Other prophets too. Psalms 41 in verse 9. Once again, Psalms 41 verse 9. So let's continue. It reads in verse 24, the Son of Man goeth as it is written of him. But woe or destruction to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It had been good for that man if he had not been born. So we won't touch on this now, but when we get to that later on in Matthew at the end of this gospel, we'll see for he who betrayed Christ, which we know is Judas, they don't know yet. What befell him, right? What he did even after what he did, and even the remorse that he had, but even still with the remorse that it was too late. What came afterwards? It's not pretty. And then with verse 24, verse 24, you could link Luke 22 and 22. So Luke chapter 22 and verse 22, you can link with Matthew 26 and verse 24.
The 22, 22, right?
Yes, chapter 22, verse 22.
We're going there?
You just write it down.
That was Matthew 26 and 24.
Yes. So verse 25, then Judas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? So they were all asking, who was it, right? Even he asked him, right? Is it I? He said unto him, thou hast said, right? So you see Christ do that a lot when people say certain things. Thou says.
You said it.
What do you think, right? But the way he asked it just came off as just another disciple wondering if it was him,
Yeah, he already knew that he was going to do it.
But he answered this cat, and he gave him a straight answer.
You said it.
You said it. The rest don't mean nothing, right?
Yeah, you said it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you did.
You mean what he's going to do?
Yeah, what he's going to do. Also, he let him know ahead of time that he going to do it, but he don't know himself that he going to do it.
Yeah, the Spirit came on him to do that. Because remember, you read before, when they were eating before, he said he talked to him in his ear and he said, what is set in thy heart to do, go and do it, remember? It was weird because it was like he was talking to Judas, but he knew the spirit that was on him, the spirit of Satan that was on him, would lead him to then go begin to try to parlay with the Pharisees.
That's the first he followed with.
Right. And it wouldn't happen until the time we're in now.
Okay.
But he would set it up. You can link this verse 25. You can link it with St. John 13 and 26. Matthew 26, 25. You can link with St. John. Yeah.
And that's Matthew 25.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 26, verse 25.
Okay.
Okay. Let's continue on. It says in verse 26, and as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to his disciples and said, this is what we always read when we do at least when we do our Passover, right? Our feast of unleavened bread. We read through these scriptures, and we do it together with the unleavened bread that we bring to the feast, along with the wine or grape juice, right? And this is what we might have done in the world in the so-called Christian and Catholic Church denominations, so-called Protestant denominations, where they have they call it Eucharist, right? Where they get the little wafers, the little small cups of grape juice, right? So oh, they do the whole Gregorian chant, right? Oh, bread of Jesus, oh, doing it in Latin.
Symbolize his body in 26.
Yeah, and then as we're going to read on, the wine symbolizes his blood.
Okay. Oh.
Right. His body and his blood represents his life. It's not so much like a ritualistic thing, like eating his flesh, drinking his blood. No, he's not having them do that for that reason. But for us to be reminded of his life, right, being sacrificed that we may live, right, when we follow his example, right, through his perfect sacrifice. Because remember, he's that lamb without spot or blemish that the law says when we offer it, it can't be ill-favored, can't be lame, has to be in pristine condition. We're supposed to give our best to the Most High. So the Heavenly Father, to show his love for us as a people, he gave his best, his son, right, his firstborn, his only begotten, as an offering for his firstborn nation, us, right, the 12 tribes of Israel.
So,
but hold on one second. Rapad, then Gabar, and then Basad.
So another thing, when we look at Judas, one might say, "Oh man," I might laugh at him. That Mosai says, Proverbs 24:17, not that and before. That's something that he had purpose to happen. It just so happened it's him, right? But just take it for what it is.
He's just following the bad spirit.
Right, follow bad spirit. I mean, probably the spirit followed him, but it was written before time that it was going to happen.
Oh, okay.
But when that happened, you just got like, man, the Most High is so powerful. He can do anything he wants, and when he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. Right. And when you see something happen to your brothers and sisters, it's be like, hey, may the Most High will be done. That's it. That's what but don't laugh at it.
Okay. We'll make mockery of it.
Right.
What's that verse again in Proverbs?
Proverbs 24:17.
Proverbs 24.
Verse 17.
Come, that's good.
Maybe coming soon.
There you go.
What help like?
Don't laugh now, cry later.
No
The
doubt.
black thing.
I think you know what you said, before everybody gets into the old that in some kind of area or something like that at time when the evil get on.
Right.
So we shouldn't just make mockery of it.
It's not like we even perfect ourselves.
Right.
We got things in our own self too.
Right.
Ain't gonna be you.
Right. So to say,
Right.
we should love them and then next time, do better, that's all.
So Gabar, and then Perfect.
Barney, you have something to say? Call me.
All right. Now, I said this last year, probably too. Jesus kind of changed the Passover a little bit. Before he did that, nobody was breaking no bread and drinking no wine. Well, they drank wine, but they didn't say that because Jesus hadn't been on the scene. The original Passover was in Egypt, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was just the lamb's blood.
Right.
So we would just kill a lamb and sacrifice.
Right.
The ritual Passover.
Right. But we also ate unleavened bread too. So.
Well, we ate unleavened bread.
We then bread too.
Okay.
And Egypt.
He's taking the things that they already did and just saying, look, take on these meanings as it pertains to me.
So he's changing the meaning of it.
No, because remember, this is where this might be a good time to read that verse. Remember, Jesus Christ was the last commandment to keep. What do I mean by that? Deuteronomy 18 and verse 15. And this will come back when Christ is brought to the priest
You said Deuteronomy what?
and judged. Deuteronomy chapter 18 and verse 15. I'll pull it now since you mentioned it, but I'm going to refer back to this again. When the priest trying to figure out what to accuse him of, which they really have nothing to accuse him of,
Make up something.
because he actually is this. What we're about to read is actually he's the embodiment of this scripture, which Moses gave to them back then, but they couldn't keep it then because when we read it, we'll see. This is Deuteronomy chapter 18, so I'll read this one. Deuteronomy chapter 18 and verse 15. Say what?
Nobody else get to read but you.
No, just so you understand what's going on.
You explain it after they read it.
He speaks the words.
Excuse me.
He likes to
You want to push it
I'm
around.
just saying, yeah, like every talk, I like people for some reason.
You want to push it.
You know what? You know what? To be fair, I don't have to read it.
Pie.
I can just give you the verse. To be fair.
Okay, I just want to know.
Now, yeah. You want to
No,
piece of the pie.
me, you can explain it. I can read it. The son can read it. Then you explain it to yourself, right? I ain't worried about that.
You want a piece of the pie.
Yeah, let somebody else read the verse, and then you explain it to them. But go ahead, let me
No, my motivation is because
Go ahead, bro.
if we pull every single one,
Just tell him to be quiet.
it's gonna be a while. I tried to explain that already more than once.
Now, yeah, you think you can, as instead of, you want to explain it, think you give a very clear understanding
got
to
nothing
where
to do with reading
you
it.
can understand it.
Let's not talk one over each other, over top of each other. Say that again.
Yeah, but that's still ain't got
Well,
nothing
I
to do with
mean,
reading.
saying like what you saying, like
You can say your point. Just let him finish and then say your point.
you feel that you could give a very clear understanding before you get a chance to read it, so you just understand what he's trying to say. Instead of you read it, he want to clarify, give you a better understanding before you
You don't want me
start.
to reply back to you, do you?
Huh?
Ain't nothing wrong with you reading it. Ain't nothing wrong with
I
nobody
ain't
else
saying
reading
nothing,
it.
about
Okay, that's
that.
all I was saying. Let somebody
I
else
ain't
read it.
saying
You
nothing.
explain it to us.
I ain't saying nothing.
I'm
You got
definitely
kids? You got
I'm
kids?
I'm definitely not saying
You
there's
over top of them
I'm definitely not
and
saying
straighten
there's
it out.
anything wrong
I'm
with
not
reading
saying
it.
nothing. I ain't not saying
All right,
nothing.
that's what I'm saying. Let somebody else read it.
Y'all both need to shut
Zakar,
up now.
No, it ain't about shutting up.
Zakar, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with reading the scriptures. I'm just saying for time's sake, we read every single
We
verse.
got all the time in the
We're
world,
gonna be
bro.
here for a while.
I'll be
I
with
want
you, 'cause I don't
to make
learn
sure we
something from you.
want to make sure we get through the service. That's all.
Yes, sir.
That's the motivation.
Everybody got some way to be.
So Deuteronomy chapter 18 and verse 15.
Mhm.
You can read it, brother, if you like.
No, somebody else read it. I just said that you read it to y'all. That was the problem. It ain't difficult, man. It's just basic.
I'm going to read it now.
Read it.
Okay.
Really? Deuteronomy 18 and 15.
Mhm.
The Lord thy God will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee,
Mm.
of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto whom ye shall hearken.
Right. So now jump down to verse 18.
Verse 18. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him.
Right. So now this is something that couldn't have happened yet, because this prophet didn't come. Because remember, Moses was that leader or that mediator back then, right? So Christ will be the one to fulfill this prophecy, right? There's other verses we can read that'll show that. But now this is actually the role that Christ will play when he came on the earth in a physical form, right? But now the Pharisees, Sadducees, and scribes, they didn't want to hearken unto that, right?
But what does that have to do with the Passover?
No, I'm saying when the question was being asked, or you made a comment about them wanting to kill. What?
Yeah, I was talking about Jesus changing in the Passover. In other words, you said they ate leavened bread. Okay.
Right. So the reason why I'm referring to this is because he's not changing anything, right? He's only doing what Moses said he would do. Follow? He told them to follow what he says. This prophet I'm going to send out of thy brethren, right?
Right.
Like the scripture that Brother Zakar likes to pull a lot. It is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, right? That goes along with this verse here too.
Yeah, but my question was the Passover. All I said was that before Jesus came, all we did was kill a lamb and eat unleavened bread. Then Jesus came and said, this is blood of my blood, and this is my body.
Right.
Right? So, in a sense, he changed the Passover, because that's what we do now. Even though we still do the lamb and unleavened bread, we also do this wine and this bread in remembrance of Jesus now, right?
Right, because the other links I didn't pull yet. I'm going to deal with that.
Okay.
Because Paul refers to Christ as our Passover.
Okay.
It tells you. Let me give you the verses. I see your hand. So to link with what we just read from 26. Let me finish this first. 26 down to 29. You can link Mark chapter 14. Verses 22 to 25. Let me know when you have that. Mark chapter 14. Verses 22 to 25.
Make up with 29, right?
26 to 29.
26, 29. Right.
Also, Luke 22, verses 14 to 20. Let me know when you have it. Luke 22, 14 to 20. Let me know when you finish writing that. And then also 1 Corinthians chapter 11. Verses 23 down to 26.
Chapter 11, what?
Verses 23 to 26. 26 to 29. I didn't get that to 29 yet, but 26 down to 29, that whole discussion.
So we'll make up with 29?
26 to 29.
Yeah, 26 to 29.
Right. Of Matthew chapter 26.
And that other one was Luke 22 and what?
14 to 20.
Says, how shall be bread? But before, like you said, we didn't have the bread and the wine and the lamb, right?
Right.
Actually, Yahusha didn't change anything. Because when you look at it, bread, as we know it today, was always significant to us. Because bread, to live, we need bread. And to make bread, it takes a lot to make bread. It's not like food, right? It's not like you walk into the store like we have it today. You can find a whole aisle of bread.
Right.
Back then, to make bread, you had to put up some work.
Put a lot of work in.
Right? You had to put up some work. The bread was something that was very significant. And that's why Yahushua was alluded to the bread of life, because bread was very significant. So Christ was alluded to being the bread of life.
Okay.
Right? So at the Passover, Yahushua came to make sure that we understand what his mission was. Right? So we ate unleavened bread at the Passover. Right? We ate unleavened bread, before we left Egypt, because the dough they raised and things like that would go around the time of the Passover, right, when we were in a rush. So that was unleavened.
Right.
But all that had a meaning, but we didn't really get it.
Right.
Right? But Yahushua came to make it clear of why we were eating the unleavened bread, because he signified unleavened bread.
The bread is good for us.
Unleavened bread, he signified unleavened bread. So when we ate the last piece of bread, we ate that bread as a remember of him, because bread is significant.
Oh, okay.
He's the bread of life.
Okay.
And John 6:35, where he says, I am the bread of life. Right. Right. Because bread is right. Right.
Right.
Now, what?
6:35.
That's still a little kind of deep to me. Real kind of deep. Because the only reason we ate the unleavened bread is because we was in a hurry, we couldn't make it.
I'm gonna hurt them.
That's why we ate the unleavened bread. Right?
Yeah.
We was in a hurry.
Yeah.
We had no time. The Pharaoh threw us out.
Yeah, you gotta make
They
it.
wasn't putting that.
Yeah,
You
so
said
wait.
you was putting bread and make
You know
bread.
the scriptures that tell us, when we do the Passover, right? We do the Passover without the leaven, because you got to take leaven out of your house.
There you go.
Yahushua is the pure bread with
Unleavened bread. He's pure.
right? So in the Passover, they told us to eat the bread, right? We got to eat the unleavened bread without the yeast rising, because we got to get the yeast out of our house.
Okay.
It was significant of, that's what it was.
Because he purred, he ain't got no use to it.
You have no yeast in it, that was pure.
So what was that? So what was that verse in John again?
John 6:35, where Yahushua said, I am the bread of life.
So you could link John chapter 6 and verse 35, link it with Matthew 26 and 26.
Just as also water was being used, in the same way, because water was significant, just as bread was significant.
Right.
Living water?
Right.
Right.
So he said he's a living water, right? But we drink water because water is significant. Without water, there's a lot of
You can't sustain yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So
And bread was one of the things that we make, that was significant as well.
that would
Yes.
come on both of them, water and bread.
Right.
So it's not so much changing, even with the wine, because he's telling you here that that represents his blood, which we know in the law, the life is in the blood, right? So they're drinking the wine in symbolism of his life.
Of his life.
So the symbols Kambakwa pointed out, the blood, right? These all represent Christ's life, as we said earlier. So it's not so much he's changing in anything. Remember, he's the Word made flesh. He is the walking Bible. right? So everything he's saying and doing is supposed to be showing them what the word already said, like you said, and clarifying it. He's now the embodiment of it, right? So when you eat this, think of me, right? Think of the word.
Okay.
Think of what you've already known, but now you really know, right?
Right. Because I'm the prime example.
Right. It's like man shall not live by bread alone.
Right.
So bread sustains the body to live, but you cannot live by bread alone. There's another meal which is Yahusha, which is more significant.
Right.
Exactly.
The way I interpret it was that when he broke his bread and he drank that wine, he was saying, "This is my blood that I'm spilling for y'all, and this is my body that I'm sacrificing."
Right. Right. Right.
That's what I interpret it.
Right.
We're saying, we said something different. We agree.
You're right.
That's what we just said. That's what I'm saying.
All right, as long as we saying the same thing.
No, we on the
But
same
what
page.
does that, I still understand what they got to do with the Passover. You know what I mean? Okay. All right.
Okay, you know what? To connect the Passover, what you could do is the angel of death.
Right.
What happened when they had like you said, the blood of the lamb? It passed over our doors,
Right.
but then they killed the firstborn in Egypt.
Right.
Right.
But now Israel, as the Most High's firstborn, was preserved.
Right.
And how about that? And he even used his son Christ, his only begotten, to do it. So you can even look at it from on that level as far as, symbolism. There's many ways you can connect it as far as life.
I've heard that Christ was the death angel that was running through there killing all those firstborn in Egypt. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, whether it was or wasn't, it was the Most High's will that we be preserved and they be killed.
Right.
So you can look at the life there, that our life was preserved due to the blood on the doorpost, which symbolically we can look at now through Christ's blood,
Right.
because he's that lamb without spot or blemish.
Which saved our life. Right. Going up on that cross.
Going on the cross.
Right.
Yeah. Saved us, yeah. Prime example.
Okay.
So it all connects.
And the physical stage down here on the earth, you know.
You can just write down this verse and we'll continue on. Just write it down. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 18 and 19. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 18 and 19. You can link this with verse 26 as well. Which, when you read it, Peter is talking about how Christ pretty much will be that lamb without blemish, without spot. He will represent that. First Peter chapter 1, verses 18 and 19. Let's continue on. Back to Matthew 26. I'll read 26 down to 28 again. So Matthew 26 and verse 26, it says, "And as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, 'Take, eat, this is my body.'" 27, "And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them and said, 'Drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins.'" Right? So once again, Christ taking on that higher order of being our salvation. Right? Now we know they're drinking, the blood of the grape, obviously, right? Whether it's like we do now, whether it's like wine or grape juice, right?
Right.
But that's symbolically supposed to represent the blood that Christ was shed.
Right. His blood.
Right. You see the scriptures refer to, wine and grape juice as the blood of the grape.
Right. That's something like that.
Right. So it's all just referring back to Christ's life. And through him and through his death, we attain life because he would overcome death.
Right.
Right. The first to do it.
Right. So he gives us a prime example to remember him.
Yeah. And remember his life.
Right.
What that means.
While he was down here in the physical form.
Good. So reading on, verse 29, "But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." Like that. So he said, you guys drink up, but now I'm not going to do it now. Right? But now in the kingdom, I'll do it with you.
Right.
So,
Until then.
so he gave the disciples hope for the future,
Okay.
right? Because he knew the role that he had to play, and the significance that it would play by him going through with this, right? That it would set him up as the heir of the Most High, and then if they followed his example afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
we will be joint heirs with him.
Yeah, we'll be joined together.
We will rule with him, right?
Right.
In the kingdom that would be to come. This kingdom still isn't here yet, but now we're here as representatives of that kingdom, being proven, right? Overcoming temptation as Christ did, to hopefully make the team as well, right? So reading on in verse 30, it says, and when they had sung an hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives. Then said Yahushua unto them, O ye shall be offended because of me this night. What is written? I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered abroad. Right? So he told them, you're going to be offended of me this night because you're going to come for me. Right?
Oh, that's what he's saying? That's what he's telling the disciples? That they're going to come for him?
Well, he's saying you're going to be offended of me this night. I'm going into what's going to happen. It's going to lead to them being offended of me.
So, in other words, after they kill Christ, then they're going to come for the disciples. Disciples going to be afraid. They're going to chase him 100. Right?
Well, I'm just talking about him being grabbed up. But even before he gets killed, this him getting grabbed up by the authorities. They're going to go their different ways, It's like, oh, they locked up so-and-so, And they know that we're with them. You run. You kind of.
They're going to get out of Dodge.
You run for cover, right? So, pretty much.
Right.
That's what he's telling them. They're going to bail.
You tell them ahead of time.
What you going to do?
When you tell them ahead of time, well, when this happened to me, the best thing is to get out of Dodge.
Well, not so much your best thing, but what they're going to do, whether it's best or not. Whether it's best or not really is inconsequential. It's about what they're going to do when it happens. When we read on, we're going to see some of their responses, which clearly is going to be, what we would hope that we would do, which is, I'm going to stand by your side, right? But as we read on, it's going to say what you're talking about now, Brother Gabar. Before we do.
And also in 26, the Catholic Church is stuck this whole verse right here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Verse 26, they add a bunch of stuff to it that y'all try to answer. When they do their prayers, do the wine thing at the church, they say a bunch of stuff that y'all try to answer right.
That's called the Eucharist, right?
You put your own words in, huh?
Yeah. After it says he break bread and he give the people, then they had a bunch of other stuff. That's when they said he break bread and he give the disciples, and he said this is the blood that's gonna be shed for you and for everybody.
Right.
Yeah, what can you expect, right? You take parts of our law and then mix their own thing with it, right? That's pretty much every religion that you've seen from back then up until now. They take bits and pieces from the tree of life and then mix it with wickedness. And that's why everything that's not the truth comes from the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Okay.
Including the Catholic Church.
They make good and evil when they get it.
Yeah, they mix it. They mix Most High's law and they put their own spin on it. And what you get as a result is something that may look good, sound good, but it's not the right. It's not true. Right. That's a key example of that, based on what we're reading here. Done. So you can link with verse 31, Zechariah chapter 13. Zechariah chapter 13 and verse 7. You don't have to get it, you just write it down. Another prophecy Zechariah made about Christ, as far as when they strike him as our shepherd, right? That the sheep would scatter, which is, referring to us following Christ.
Zechariah what?
13 and verse 7.
Zechariah.
So, reading on in verse 32, it says, "But after I am risen again, I will go before you unto Galilee." Right? So he's given a future prophecy, speaking about how he already knows that once he dies, he's going to rise from the grave. Right? Knows it. He says, "I'm going to go before you until Galilee." So you can link with verse 32. You can link that with Matthew 28. This is actually going to happen later on in the gospel towards the very end. But we'll read that next time we have the Sabbath service. We're going through Matthew.
Yeah, 26 and
2. Right, verse 32.
32. Go ahead.
Link that with Matthew 28, verse 7, verse 10, and verses 15 and 16.
And 15 what?
16. Christ is actually going to go to Galilee when you read in the future. Because remember, when Christ dies, he's going to be in the earth, right? 3 days, 3 nights, right? Dead.
Right.
He's going to rise,
Come out of it.
and he's going to be alive for 40 days and nights with the disciples, with his new body, right?
So he will be alive after he rises again?
Right. He's going to be with the disciples for 40 days and nights. And then at that point, he's going to go back to the Father.
Oh. So when he come back, he be with his disciples, with a new body?
No, I'm talking about what happened already.
Oh. Before that.
Well, what happened in the Gospels?
When he comes, before they come and get him, that's what he's saying?
No, after they come and then right here, betrayed by the chief priests and scribes.
Right.
Romans going to get him,
Right.
beat him, whip him, right? Crucify him.
Right.
He's going to be dead 3 days and 3 nights.
Right.
He's going to rise. Then at that point, he's going to be, you're going to read, he's with the disciples 40 days and nights. And then he gets, he ascends into the cloud.
The Most High. Okay. Gotcha.
But right now, we're at the beginning of that piece. I'm saying we're going to read this as we go through the rest of this gospel. So we'll get there.
There's really something now that after he comes and rise again, he be with his disciples. The disciples know who he is, as when the new body.
Oh yeah, he's going to reveal it. But then some of them didn't know who he was because the way he appeared to some, it was like almost like he was
A whole different person.
yeah, like he was disguised. Because with it's kind of weird. Like he's got a new body, but it's like he can change his appearance, like where you may see him but not really know who you're looking at. But when we read it, you'll see what I mean. That's verse 32. So link those. Also link up Matthew 14 and 28 as well.
Matthew 14, 28.
With that same group of verses, as far as Christ going into Galilee, and telling him that he would go into Galilee after he rises again.
That's where he be the disciples at, in Galilee.
Right. And be seen by others too that weren't part of that immediate 12. Because he would be seen by many after he rose. And even the Pharisees, saw and heard about it, and they were like, what in the world? It can't be him. It's got to be somebody else pretending to be him. Right. That's the disciples. They set somebody up as if he was Christ, right?
Right.
But nope, it was actually him.
Mhm.
So it says in verse 34, Jesus said unto him, let me read 33. Matthew 26:33. Peter answered and said unto him, talking to Christ as far as when he rises again and goes to Galilee. And before that, he said, "You shall be offended because of me this night." Peter then says, "Though all men shall be offended because of thee, yet I will never be offended." We were saying earlier, Akishai, about that was going to bail out. So, if you love Christ, that's your big brother. Of course, your natural reaction is like, "Oh, no, I wasn't bailing you. We're family. We in this to the end, right?
Yeah.
I won't do it."
Right.
Right? Peter has that rock, right, upon which the church was founded. I check out what Christ says to him here.
Mm-hmm.
Christ, he knows things that we don't.
Mm-hmm.
Again, answered and said unto him,
Mm-hmm.
"Verily or truly I say unto thee, that this night before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice."
Mm-hmm.
So he said, for you in specifically, Peter, before the cock crow, this morning, coming into the early morning,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to deny me 3 times. Right? So he's telling them that.
Right.
It says, Peter said unto him, "Though I should die with thee,
Mm-hmm.
yet will I not deny thee."
Mm-hmm.
Likewise also said all the disciples. Right? So we know Peter doesn't, in his mind at that point, he's saying to himself, "Oh, I wouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I would never do that." Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's why when we read this story, because we know what happens next, right? Even growing up in a so-called Christian church, watching the movies with so-called white people, right? We know what happens next. A lot of us have heard this story already. But this is just a good lesson for us in the truth, where when we say what we will and won't do, we just say Most High's will, right? Or we say, "I hope that I wouldn't do this. I pray that I would say this."
Okay.
In a certain situation.
You put yourself in harm's way. You put yourself in harm's way. Just say it like that and come out better.
Or just go against what you promised, right? Like Christ talks about, when it comes to vows, he said, don't even swear by heaven or by earth. He said, look, just say yea, yea, nay, nay. Well, when it comes to the vow according to the law, like when we read in Leviticus, it was what you said, but it was something that you actually gave, like as a vow too. It was kind of a composite thing. But when it comes to your words, you could look at it like that. Like if you say something like, "I'm going to do this," right? You had to follow through with what you said you're going to do. I remember, was it last week? We were reading about vows, right, in Leviticus. We read the story with Jephthah, judge. Before he went off to fight with the Ammonites who had us in captivity, he said, "The first thing to walk through my doors, to come out of the doors of my house, a sacrifice to you, Lord, if you bless me in the fight." Right? Of course, in his mind, he's probably thinking like something, his cattle or something, right? He would give it up as an offering, right, to show his appreciation. He didn't think, wow, his own daughter could come out first of everybody else. So he was bound by his word, by what he said.
So he had a sacrifice?
Yeah.
Well, he gave the word.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, don't give your word. You got to be sure of what you're saying.
Yeah. Otherwise, just say, "Lord willing," or "I don't know." Just keep silent.
Right.
Don't say anything.
In today's society, even me growing up, we got accustomed to always swearing by something.
Right.
I swear to God I'll do this, or I swear on my mama, I swear on my kids, I swear on this. Whereas when you read the gospel, Yahushua said don't do that, because when you're doing that, now you're involving the Most High and certain things in it where you don't have no space, no power, no anything to control what goes on in your day to day. By you swearing on something, I swear I'll be here tomorrow, and all of a sudden the Most High has already had circumstances in place where you're not going to be here tomorrow. But you already swore in the Most High's name
And you don't have that authority to go do that. We are in the right mind to do that.
Right.
So he's like, don't swear. Just say, let your yea be yea.
Okay.
And then follow up with what Kahan said, most times will I'll be there.
Okay.
Right? So now if you don't make it there by chance, by circumstance,
you ain't sure.
Yeah, it's not there. But as far as for casual conversation, sometimes you'll say, yeah, all right, what time I get there about 2 o'clock. Right. That's not you swearing on it or making a vow or an oath. That's just you predetermining I'm trying to be there by 2 o'clock. Okay. But to assure yourself that, that the person don't be upset with you, like most high will, God willing, I'll be there.
Right.
So they know, like, what happened? Man, my car broke down.
Yeah.
It was an accident on 95, and well, that's out of your control.
Right.
You didn't expect me to jump out of the car and start running down the highway. Couldn't make it because of circumstances. Right. So a person would understand it, would realize, kind of get the gist of it. But Yahweh Shai just kind of make sure that we don't fall into the same situation that we did in the past by just free willy just throwing things out there. Because I know I've said it hundreds of times, probably just to try to get that vote of confidence. Like I'm saying, I'm being truthful what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I swear to God, once you say that, it's like, oh, okay, all right, swear to God. But we said it so casual, so much that you don't even believe that no more. Yeah. It's like I don't even just because you said that, I don't mean nothing to me no more. Because you said that 4 times before, and it's still happening. Right. So what? Right. And that's part of the law. Right. We ain't supposed to take the Most High's name and thing like that. Right. So we gotta. Yahweh Shai said the Most High and Yahweh Shai kind of curb that from us. Right. So we don't kind of fall into that same boat.
We swear. He said we'll be there.
It's a lot. Just one thing, and just to show you how what Khan brought out last week, how those things were serious. Mm-hmm. When the brother did that and said, "Listen, the next thing that come through my doors," and it was his daughter. He wasn't like, "Oh no, I mean that. I mean that." Nah.
But he gave it up.
He had to go through it because he understood the severity of when you do that. And then his daughter kind of understood. She was like, "Well, if you said that,
I gotta do it."
Yeah, it's so big. Like she went more, but that shows you the severity. Right now, most of us don't have no understanding of the severity of those words and what it means in the eyes of the Most High, the angel, when you say those things.
Right.
And also in verse 30, Al-Shah said, "Let me know if God is in." Why would you think? Why he couldn't stay in Jerusalem? Mm-hmm. Jerusalem was the place where the emotion happened. Keep in mind, Yahweh dying in the city was a big thing. Right? A lot of emotion, was in that city. Mm-hmm. So also there could be doubt because they said around that time, the Jews who didn't believe in Christ believe in a whole lot of other things. Right. They said, when people die, the ghosts hover around the tomb, right? Hover around the tomb, mm-hmm. right after death. So Yahweh wanted to take him away from the emotion and also go far away so that there was no doubt that it was him that risen.
Okay.
Right, but some of the stuff in the scriptures, it's not very descriptive, but when you put 2 and 2 together, right, you want to see that Yahweh wanted them to have that reassurance without a doubt. It wasn't him. Mm-hmm. I mean, it wasn't
somebody else.
It wasn't somebody else. It was actually him.
Clear.
So he took him way away from that, from that scene, from that emotion. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of heavy too, just to it's not even like, yeah, I hope when I rise again, I'm gonna go here. He said, when I rise, I'm gonna go to Galilee. You're gonna hear about me in Galilee.
Right.
You when you see me after I rise again, but like he says, like those steps to get there. But they're hearing him say it, but it's like they're not really in it as of yet. Even at this point, like the fact that the Pharisees they're hearing him, but it's like they're not really hearing him. You sound like, yo, it's gonna happen tonight, and they're kind of like, okay, but it's not hitting home yet. But as you read on, we're gonna see it's gonna hit home, and it's like, wow, what he said is really true. That's why even now, right? We read the scriptures, the prophecies. We're motivated by those things, right? Even the things that we see happening right now, like, wow, Most High said what happened like this, and here it is. Mm-hmm. Even when we talk about the day of the Lord, right? We know if our people in the world, they hear it, kind of go, oh, yeah, the end of the world, okay, the rapture, yeah. It's coming sometime. Mm-hmm. But even for us to know the truth, we talk about it, but it's not really going to be like a thing until when that day actually comes. Then it's going to be like, wow. Like I remember reading about it, I remember looking forward to it, but now it's here. Wow, like I didn't picture it would be like this. You know, like certain parts may not be a surprise, other parts may still be surprised when it actually goes down.
Right.
You know, as far as this is what Christ told us in the Spirit.
Right.
How it's actually happening. And then that's where we saw it through a glass darkly. Now it's clear. Now we see it now face to face, as far as that particular prophecy and everything else that comes with it. So Christ tells Peter he's going to be denied by him 3 times for the code. I won't do that. You see even the disciples co-sign like, yeah, we would never do that. We would never deny you, Christ. Peter or any of us. You can just write down 14. Mark 14.
Mark 14.
29 to 30. Let me know when you have that.
Then they got to 33 to 35.
30. Yeah, right. Do you have that? Oh boy. Slow. So also Luke 22.
Luke 22.
47 to 53. (47 to 53). And then John 18, 3 to 11. John chapter 18, verses 3 down to 11. Let's continue on. I'm so sorry. Not John 18, 3 to 11. I scrolled down looking at another link for later on.
Okay.
Keep John, scratch out right? John 13 and 18. Keep John, but then scratch out 18, 3 to 11. Just put 10 in verse 38.
13, 38.
Yeah. And that links with Matthew 26, 33 to 35.
Okay.
Sorry about that. That link's going to come later. So back to Matthew 26, verse 36. It reads, Then cometh Jesus with them into a place called Gethsemane, and said unto the disciples, Sit ye here while I go and pray yonder. Right? It says in 37, He took with him Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful. And right, so they're all here in his garden, right? That night, after they, had the Passover. It says that he became very sorrow and very heavy because he knows this is that last night before he's delivered, right?
Oh, okay. He filmed me something.
Right, because he knows what's to come next. Like, he sees it. But then he has his top 3 disciples with him. Because they got to see a lot of his personal moments. Remember we were talking about that before, about the transfiguration. When he transfigured, that it was Peter, James, and John. Out of his 12 disciples, those 3 got to see that.
Oh, they got to see what he was talking about.
Well, before there's certain things that Christ did the 12 disciples would be privy to. Other ones, it was only his top 3 disciples would be privy to.
Okay. See what he
Certain things that he did, certain miracles that he did, certain
Events
events like the Transfiguration, for example. Like I think we had that a couple of last week or one of the classes. But you see that those 3 were there to witness that. Right, to witness that.
Right.
And you can just link with verse 37. Just write it down.
Okay.
Matthew chapter 4 and verse 21. Which
Matthew chapter 4.
Verse 21. It tells you these sons of Zebedee, if we didn't know already, it's talking about James and John, right? 37. Yeah.
37.
Done, shalom.
The last verse, not the one you just quoted, John, when you said, right, instead just scratch out 18 and put John what?
Chapter 13, verse 38.
13, 38. Salakia, because on the computer, it has this little voice that comes in when you speak sometimes, so you don't quite hear what you're saying.
Gotcha.
1338, you said?
Yes.
Khan, the water.
Again, the bar. Yes, that's my apologies. I scrolled down in my notes and quoted something from later. Yeah. See, with Matthew 26 and 37, you can link Matthew 4 and 21, where it tells you who the sons of Zebedee are.
Mm-hmm.
It's just pretty much talking about Peter, James, and John.
Okay, that's the one. There's only 3 that seem what he was trying to explain.
Well, it says here they saw him be very sorrowful and very heavy. They got to witness that.
Okay, they seem well, he's sorrowful. The way he's feeling that is the last time he's up, right?
Well, let's read on. Let's see. Verse 38. Then said he unto them, my soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry ye here and watch with me. Right? So he's telling them how he feels, but he's asking them that they tarry here and watch with him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It says in 39, and he went a little further and fell on his face and prayed. So they were the closest to him, the 3, but then he even went a little distance from them.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of have some personal time with the Most High to pray, right?
Okay.
So it says he fell on his face and prayed, saying, "O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me.
Mm-hmm.
Nevertheless, not as I will, but as thou wilt." Right? So knowing what he's about to face, he's asking the Lord that if it be his will, could you take this cup out of here, right? So like you said, I can get out of this harsh punishment because, you just think about it on a carnal level, we were growing up, you got into trouble. And your dad told you, oh yeah, for this, you can get a whooping. It's gonna happen to your time. It's like what they tell you, like, it's gonna happen today, right? On a certain day, that day can't go by any faster, right?
You got it coming. You know what I mean? I promise you got it coming.
Right.
But they don't tell you when.
If it's not that day, if it's like later on, or the next day, that thing is on your mind heavy to where it's like, once it happens, it's gonna be ugly.
Yeah.
So it's like time slows down up until the time when you gotta face that music. But picture that, but now with Christ on a higher level where he knows it's something he's going through for the nation. Right. And he can actually see it as far as how painful it's gonna be, even before it happens.
Okay.
Right? And this going even back to when he was a young boy, he just had that knowledge of at a certain point in my life, I'm gonna die this way. Mm-hmm. He's losing faith per se. I wouldn't say it's losing faith, but it's more so he knows the flesh, and what comes with being in the flesh as far as the suffering and the pain that's coming, right? So because of that, he's asking, Lord, if it be your will, take this cup from me, because it's going to be really, it's going to hurt a whole lot.
Really ugly.
But the heavy thing that to take note of too, let's see everyone's hand. He said, be it not as what I want, but let it be what you will for me, right? May it be that you change your mind, right? Don't just do it for my sake. I want it to be your choice,
Right.
if you do choose
Okay.
to have me not go through it. Right? But and then y'all can.
Then notice that he took not every one of the disciples. But imagine walking with Christ. Some of them who actually believe in him so wholehearted, and to see him in that situation at first hand would be very hard on those.
Right.
So he took those who can actually carry it from that point. He knew everybody's spirit. He knew what they can do.
Okay.
And so he only take those select those that can actually walk through that point. I mean, think about it. You know what you're gonna go through, and you know you're gonna feel every pinch of it.
Right. All the pain.
And you know every bit of you know, when they're gonna whip you, you're gonna feel every bit of it, and you already see it ahead of time.
Right. Oh man, that's something.
And it's gonna be going through for a certain period. It's not like it one time. It's gonna be going through.
You're gonna have this for a while.
You're like, man.
We're gonna read it. It's gonna talk about all the time of day and everything.
And you know you didn't do anything. You're just doing it, you know, for
These niggas.
yeah.
Do I gotta go down?
I mean, he
these
didn't
niggas'
think that. He wanted to do it because he know that's the only way that the Most High would have things happen.
Right.
Before he came, the Most High already showed him the place that it wasn't happening.
Right.
But you didn't do anything.
Goodbye.
You ain't did nothing to clarify for your people.
Right. So that's the only way that my people that I have chosen in their place. You're the one who's chosen to do it because I know you could do it.
You the sacrifice.
Right.
Yeah, just think it on a smaller scale. You know, that you're innocent, you're in prison, you're innocent, and you're on death row. And you know that your time is coming. You see other people that executed, and you know all the process, what they're going to do to you, and so on and so forth, and how you're going to be executed.
Right.
It's traumatic.
Come.
And the statement for God is made. He said he told him to do this, right?
Right.
And you said for these people,
For these N-words.
that's not bad.
Wow.
But in verse 22 in Psalm 22, Jesus get on the cross and said, why hast thou forsaken me? And put me up here.
Okay.
Come.
Somebody explain that to me.
Yeah, that's kind of deep.
I just want to know. I'm still from
Let's definitely talk about it. Let's talk about it when we get there. That's a deep question though, but yeah, we'll get that when we get there.
You ain't get there yet.
Put Rodney up there for me.
You know what I'm going to call Rodney?
You know what's so funny? What he's saying is in Romans chapter 5. It says, barely for a righteous man, or for a righteous man will people die. But Christ died for the wicked of our people and the righteous. It tells that in Romans 5. So you are that prophecy, brother. But come on.
I'm gonna read this two verses, one in Hebrews, the 2nd chapter and the 4th chapter.
Okay.
This is Hebrews 2:17.
Hebrews 2:17.
Right. It says, wherefore in all things it behooves him to be made like unto his brethren. This is about Christ and how he came into earth. So he was fashioned just how we are fashioned, right, for a purpose. It says that he might be a merciful and faithful high priest in things pertaining to God. So we know that whatever it is that pertains to the Most High and the law, he was faithful in all things.
Okay.
Right. It says to make reconciliation for the sins of the people. So we understand it's done in accordance with the purpose was.
Right.
It says in verse 18, for in that he himself have suffered being tempted, he is able to succor them that are tempted. So he was put through the same type trials, tribulations, the same type weaknesses and things that we go through, he's gone through.
Right.
Right. So that now when we go through it, we have an example or a mark to say, okay, what should I do in this situation? Right. So when he got weak, knowing everything that was just said, that he got to go through a whole bunch of stuff.
Right.
It's different for brothers that's on death row and all that. They don't know exactly what they about to experience.
Right.
They just have an idea, but they don't know. Yahushua knew.
Right.
He knew everything. He knew what was going to happen to him the day before, the day after. He understood all of that. So yeah, when you now start getting closer and closer to that point, it's like, look, I created these spirits. I created these beings, and look what I'm about to have to go through. But it's for a good cause. But still, he went through those things. So now, in understanding when we get weak, what do? Right? Because he got weak, right? His soul, he started to go through agony, understanding what he's about to do.
Right.
So we got to look to him, like it tells you in Peter's, that he's our example. A lot of times when we go through things, you know what we do? A lot of times we take matters into our own hands.
Right.
We don't rely on the Most High. We don't go to the Most High. It's like, well, how am I going to fix this? Let me go to him or let me go to her before I even come to the Most High, who's supposed to be the source and the mode of everything.
Right.
So we look at Yahushua as an example to say, dang, he about to go to the cross and go through. Yo, he ain't go through no. Yeah, he went through certain things, but let's see what he did in the interim of him going through that. Now I'm gonna read this other verse here, Luke. I said Hebrews 4, but I'm gonna go to Luke first.
Right.
22. Because it kind of goes right along with what we're reading right now. Luke 22. And verse, I don't know how far down we read in Matthew 26. I don't want to make sure I don't jump the gun. Pardon me 1 second. What verse we had in Matthew 26?
37, 38.
We at 38?
Actually, 39.
Oh,
It's going into 40, sorry.
okay.
We just read 39 where it says, not as I will, but as thou will.
All right. So it's in context. So in Luke 22 and 42.
42.
So in Luke 22:42, it says, saying, Father, this is Yahushua again, same thing like we read, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. Right? Verse 43. And there appeared an angel unto him from heaven, strengthening him. Right? So now, as Yahushua is praying to the Most High to remove this cup of his burden that now was the task before him, because Yahushua don't have that authority. Remember, when they came to get Yahushua said, I can call down 12 legions. But then the will of the Father won't be done. Right? So everything is in the Most High's hands. Yeah. So he coming down to the Most High, like, listen, Father, if it be your will, remove this cup. It's not something that I'm going to do, meaning I'm not going to go through with this. But let something be on your will to cause it to stop. Let Pilate be like, no, we ain't going to put him on the cross.
Okay.
Yahushua didn't cause that to happen. The Most High did.
Right.
So if it be of your will, let this be done, but not mine. Okay. Meaning I'm going to go through with it, but I'm going through some things. So Yahweh, what the Most High did, he said, I'm going to send an angel down to him and strengthen him. To give him that boost so he don't have to worry about that. He can get through it. Right. So again, I fall back on Yahushua was sent to be an example for us, so that when we go through life things, when we at work or we at home, we want a bus or your account is tripping low and you got things to do and you ain't got the money and now your family depending on you. How you gonna get through? Everybody looking at you a certain way. Or you got this injury. How am I gonna get through? I can't even make it. Pray to the Most High first. Right? He said, listen, hold on right there. Let me go pray to the Father. And he ain't talk to Peter and them and tell him what he was going through. Right. He ain't like, yo, I'm kind of weak right now, Peter. What should I do? No, he went to the Father. Right. And let the Most High handle it first, and then let everything else come. So the Most High sent the angel. Okay. That's what we want. Right. If we kind of in the jam, or we feeling weak, or we kind of stumbling on something, you pray to the Most High, let the Most High intervene and send you help, send you an angel, send you the Spirit, send you understanding, send you comfort so that you can get through. Right. As opposed to relying on yourself. Right? Because when you rely on yourself, you know, as I say, the heart is deceitful above all things. You start now going back and forth with yourself. Should I do it? No, I don't know. Then now here comes Satan. Man, forget that. You ain't got to do that. Man, let's go do this over here. You can go do that over there. Right. Nah. Okay. So it's a good thing when I read this, I'm like, all right, I'm going to have more faith in the Most High to help to have him intervene. Okay. Put the confidence in the Most High, not put trust in man. Right.
And also, in verse Hebrews 2:17 that Ron read, he would have like that so that he can be mercy. Imagine, you know, some of us have some pain and heartache, and sometimes you feel like you're about to break down, you're about to have a heart attack. You know, you feel like your brain is pulling out. Your house was put in that situation, so he knew how he felt, so that to help you when you're going through that situation.
Right.
Right. So that he can be mercy on you, because he knew how he felt when he was in that situation. Right. So any agony that you could think of, Yahweh went through it, so that when you're going through it, he knows how to help you.
I'll just read the other one. Hebrews 4:15-16 touches exactly what Roger said. It says, "For we have not an high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities, but was in all points tempted like as we are, yet without sin. Let us therefore come boldly unto the throne of grace, the Most High, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need." Right. So again, it comes back when we get into that same weakness, when we kind of don't know and we're trying to find help and we need that help, go to the throne of mercy, which is from the Most High, and let Him intervene and then provide that grace in the time of need. Right.
Okay. So to go back to Yeshai's question.
So which one was that? The last one you said?
Hebrews 4:15-16. What did I say? Hebrews 2.
So to go back to what Yeshua was saying as far as
17 and 18.
the faith, the lack of faith. I'm not sure if it was a lack of faith. It was more so he knew, but it's just like anything else. Like he knew the Most High would pull him through, but it's just the pain of going through it. Anyway, that if there was any way that could be lessened or taken away, you know, who wouldn't want it being in in his body, knowing how our bodies are when we go through suffering.
It's like you have a heavy headache. So the headache, that doesn't mean you have to.
Right. Just don't want to take that pill, you know. I say take the pill, not so much take the pill to remedy the headache, but go through that suffering. That's what I mean when I say take the pill. So not so much a faith thing, but just, you know, maybe you could put it on the his test was with when it came to his diligence going through with it, right? But as we're going to read, he still did.
I mean, the Most High could have, you know, put him through a quick death.
Yeah.
Right? You know, somebody walk with somebody, shoot somebody, bow, he's dead before he hit the ground.
Right.
He ain't feeling that much pain. He ain't going through much. He already gone.
Right.
Your house was on the cross for a minute. Right? He on the cross for a minute, man. Yeah. And then all the stuff that led up to it. So yeah, it's you know, something to understand. The Most High Father, if you can come and do something where, you know, as I'm going out there, I just give up the ghost right away. Right? All right, cool. It'll be your will. But there's nothing I can do. I'm going to do exactly what the Father intended for me to do.
But I'm going to go through it.
Right.
And just write this down as a link. You can link this with verse 39 and also verse 42 as he mentions the cup, because you remember James and John, the sons of Zebedee, I think it was their mother that was with them at the time, and they said, "Can my two sons sit upon your right and left hand?" And then Christ says they're going to drink the same cup that I'm drinking, right? Same cup he's drinking. He said they're going to drink this too, but to sit on my right and left hand, that's not for me to decide, but both sides decide that. Right? So he's telling them, those two of his top disciples, James and John, they're going to go through things like how he went through certain sufferings, right? You read about, was it in Acts, it tells you about James being put to death going to Acts of the Apostles as a disciple for Christ. It tells you, you know, John, he was locked away in Patmos, right? I think he died in prison, right? Okay. So, you know, they had hard roads to look forward to, even though they were remembered forever, right? We know they're going to sit on those 12 thrones that Christ talked about, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. We may be one of them here now. We don't know, right? Here or some other congregation. But wherever those souls are, they're going to be rewarded because they endured those hardships, right? Like Christ did. Matthew chapter 20, and you can write down verse 22. the whole story is you could write from 20 down to 22 to get the whole story, but the main emphasis is on verse 22. And link that with Matthew 26 verses 39 and also verse 42, which we're going to get to in a second.
Matthew 36 to 42.
No, Matthew 26 verses 39 and verse 42. Verses 39, verse 42. Link up with those.
I'm not sure I'm not understanding. We say the 20, Matthew 26. First link was Matthew 20 and 22, right?
Yeah, Matthew chapter 20, verses 20 to 22.
Oh, okay. What's the other?
That's it.
Oh, is it?
I'm just telling you what verses to link it with in Matthew 26. That's all. So, Matthew 26 and verse 40. Do you understand? I'm saying link Matthew 26, what we're reading right now, 39, and also verse 42, which we haven't gotten to yet. Link that with Matthew chapter 20, verses 20 to 22. So you got it. You're good. That was all I was saying. So verse 40. He cometh unto the disciples and findeth them asleep. And said unto Peter, what? Would you not watch with me 1 hour? Right? So it's getting late at night. And he's asking them to watch with him, right? A good watchman. And they're dozing out, fading out, right? Trying to maintain trying to stay awake, but they're falling asleep. And we've seen that before in other scriptures, right? Where certain things are going down or certain righteousness is happening, like Paul teaches certain places and people falling asleep, falling off the ledge, like Eutychus. It's not to say that what's being brought out, what's happening isn't exciting, but we're going to read that the flesh is weak, right? You'd be surprised, certain things you may be reading or studying, your flesh will resist in different ways, right? Whether it be your brain or your body, right? Different parts of your body. I think we all can remember that if we haven't overcome it yet, where you have a busy day for whatever reason, and then you say, yes, got a half hour, an hour, study my scriptures, go through my notes, sit down, start going through your notes. 10 minutes later, you get a phone call, start talking to somebody, yakety yakking, right, or whatever it is. It could be nonsense, could be some business, right? You get done, you're like, oh, that's right, I was studying my scriptures. Start studying again, somebody rings the doorbell, and we haven't seen in weeks. Oh man, what's going on? And then you get to talking to them, right? Or sometimes you might be trying to study your notes and just doze off. Wake up 2 or 3 hours later, you're like, oh man, it's like early in the morning. You're like, I was supposed to go through these notes. Yeah. So, flesh, right? Yeah. But then you can go and just play some video games and do something that's just trivial. Total focus, right? You totally engaged, no problem, right? No resistance. You go back to doing the righteous work. You start fading out again. It's like, what's going on? My flesh hates this. My spirit knows I should be doing it, but it's like my flesh hates doing this stuff. Okay. So that's natural. And Christ is gonna say that as we read on. It's literally natural, right? Because the flesh is natural, right? Okay. That's where when we stay in the spirit and overcome, fast, pray, deal with the flesh, accordingly, as far as eating healthy, getting proper amounts of sleep, which I can't say I mastered that at all. But if you work towards it, Most High will work with you when it comes to it. Right. As far as dealing with the flesh accordingly, and then you'll find that you can find that rhythm now where you won't fall asleep anymore. Now you can actually go through your notes. It just takes practice. Okay. Sometimes it's just a hump you have to get over, and then your flesh gets in line. But it's gonna resist on the onset when you start incorporating new righteous practices, new righteous behaviors. But just remember,
the flesh will get involved anyway.
See what?
Automatically, the flesh is weak.
Right. So you bring the flesh along for the ride and prove it. Where now you got to operate according to the spirit. That's where the discipline comes in. So just think of habits like this. For good habits and bad habits work the same way, right? Just something that you do. If you always do a good habit, great. If you always do a bad habit, bad. But the same way you can do something good continually, you can do something bad continually. Right? They both work the same way once you get in that rhythm.
Right.
Also, around that time, you know how the scripture says, "Don't be a friend in opportunity only, but be here, help your friends when times of adversity."
Right.
I wish I was going through that adversity at that time too.
Right.
So they were supposed to bear with him and go through that adversity, and the heavy, give him that support.
Right.
Along with the support, it's not easy time. Your body gonna feel it too, right? Because it's like you gotta be there for him. You were eating with me. I was doing miracles. Everybody was there. I was breaking bread with you.
Right.
Right. That was good time.
Good
So now
time.
that time come, you gotta be, try to be there for me also.
Okay.
You're gonna feel it with me, but be there for me.
I'll be there with you.
There.
I'll be there with you.
Right. Because I was there with you, when things was good. But now it's hard time. You're gonna feel it, but I hope that you there for me to go through the pain and process. So that was that point where Peter was there, and he was hoping that they carried with him. But their body couldn't, bear it because the thing was heavy. It's like heavy at night. You accustomed to sleep. Now it's like it's 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
You up, and it's, if you out there in the field where you go pray, of course it's kind of like shivery there. Wind is blowing. You're like, man, I gotta be there. It's like it's heavy time right now.
Yeah.
You got it, right? Yahushua, you got it. You good? You good? I'm just going, take a little quick, I'll be right here. I'm just going, real quick.
I'll be right here with you,
Let me get this snap.
Good. So it says in verse 40 again.
Okay.
The water for that. And he cometh unto his disciples and findeth them asleep. And said unto Peter, "What? Will you not watch with me 1 hour?" 41. Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. So he's speaking to that situation, but he's speaking that in general too. Oftentimes Christ will speak to the situation, but it's something you can take outside of that, everything. So it goes for us even now, right?
Right. And one quick note, because at that time when things are going as heavy, it's easy for them to say, "Man, they help this man. This guy helped me out there." The sayings start coming into your head.
Yeah. Saying, well, I don't really want to do this.
Right. Right.
So it says, watch and pray, you enter not into temptation. So, and you see just even the act that they're doing as far as being a watchman. We know that's something that's foundational to Israel, right? Where anytime we had the city set up, that was a role that we had as far as the watch. It was set up, before we had cameras, you had people that would take shifts, watch, make sure there's no invaders, nobody coming in to try to steal or something crazy going on. You got someone doing today you have security, right?
Right.
To watch over property, right?
Yeah, but
the same idea.
Like security, you being in security, you gotta have your head, you gotta really, you gotta put that in your mind that you're gonna be awoke. So you gotta watch. You're a watchman.
Exactly. If anything happens on your watch, you better catch it.
Right.
Otherwise, it's like you're not a faithful watchman.
Right.
You can relate.
You caught up.
I know come back there can relate, right? As far as his experience. So we had, men that had the second watch, the third watch, right? Whichever one it was. So now that takes on a spiritual connotation when it comes to watching the signs of the times, seeing things happening as far as the government, as far as natural disasters, things like that. When we see these things as watchmen in the spirit, we should take note of that, know it for ourselves, to encourage one another that are within the truth, and to those that are without, give them that warning too.
Right.
Right? Where we say, "Hey, brother, sister, you know what time it is? We gotta wake up out of the sleep." See what they're doing right now with those laws they just passed? You know what's prophesied in the scriptures? The suffering we go through right now in the ghettos and slums, what's prophesied in the scriptures? Check this out. Right? So that's us watching on a spiritual level, because we want to have our physical and spiritual lives wide open. That's what Christ is telling us here. Watch and pray. Right? And that prayer, of course, we can't emphasize that enough, right? As we see Christ himself is doing to set that example, he's telling us to do the same when things get bad. And even when things are good, always just pray. They enter not into temptation, right? Succumbing to the lust of the flesh, succumbing to afflictions, succumbing to false doctrine. The spirit in flesh is weak.
Right.
But we can apply that to all things, right? We're in the spirit doing the right thing. We have the will to do it, but then the flesh
Trying to get involved.
will bring up that resistance one way or another, right? Where you get sleepy or you get hungry all of a sudden, or, you know, we talk about getting, people dealing with certain types of illness in their flesh, right? These are all different ways that we're afflicted, right? And it's just something to prove us and to better ourselves when we overcome it, because when we do, our fruits of the spirit are supposed to get better, right? Our patience is supposed to get better. Our diligence is supposed to get better, right? Along with the other ones. When we suffer in this fashion, but then overcome it. The link with 41, you can just write down these verses. You can write down Ezekiel 33 and 7. Ezekiel 33 and 7. That's where the Most High told Ezekiel, I'm going to make you a watchman into the house of Israel, right? Give them warning from me, he said. So Christ is pretty much saying the same thing that Most High told Ezekiel. Keep that tradition. Give them the Most High's warning. How do you feel about it, brother? What's your opinion? Right? Not about what I think. Right. Not about my opinion. It's about what the Most High said and what he's doing. That's all that matters. And then also you can write down Mark 13. Mark 13, 33 to 37. Try to pick up the pace a little bit. So Mark 13, 33 to 37, you can also link with verse 41. So reading on, it says in verse 42, he went away again the second time and prayed. So he's telling them to pray, but he's doing it himself. It's one thing we can say for Christ, right? He didn't just talk the talk, he walked the walk, right? Anything he told to do, he did himself. Like you read earlier, Kahan, things that we go through, if we suffer in the flesh, he suffered them and worse. Israel's big on that, right? Someone could tell you in Israel what you need to hear, but they'll fall on deaf ears if they look at you and you're not going through the same suffering they went through, at least from what they can see. Or it might be your background, they may be poor, you might be middle class or have a little bit of money. They may look at you and be like, you can't tell me nothing. You don't know my life. Even though what you might be saying to them will help, but who is it coming from, right? Oh, it's coming from this person. Even though our people are put under a spell by Obama. A lot of us get a lot of Israel that, not to say they knew the truth, but they even looked at his story and was just like, you don't have the same story as like one of us. Even those of us that grew up so-called black, but in a decent household, went to school, got loans. It's like his family said it was not like a typical so-called black man. You look at it, but still, just off the face value, a lot of people were caught up in the hype. But all in all, we shouldn't just look at the person and then cause bad advice to behind us, as if, oh, what you're saying to me really doesn't relate, even when it does, because of who it's coming from. You should hear it and consider it and go, okay, is this valid? Does this fit to my situation? Can it better my situation? We just hearken unto it. That's what when it comes to getting more mature in the spirit, we're able to do that. Because regardless of who the message may come from, it's the Most High telling you. He may use just someone else that you may not expect to tell you whatever that thing may be. For our folks in the world, they're big on that whole thing, So if someone that went through similar hardships as them, they'll be willing to listen even to the lies they may tell them, right? Just because they can connect with them as far as that struggle, whatever that struggle may have been. That person can tell them lies and they'll believe it because he knows my life experience. So who can do that more than Christ himself? So that's taken care of when it comes to the Most High. Now we set up Christ to be our leader. and our leader to lead us back to the Most High. Because you look at what Christ says, all he was telling us was to worship the Lord, right? And how to do it. So Matthew 26:42, again, he went away again the second time and prayed, saying, "Oh, my Father, if this cup may not pass away, rather, if this cup may not pass away from me, except I drink it, thy will be done." Right? So, he's accepted his fate. He's asking for a lifeline, but all in all, he still acknowledges that the Most High's will must be done. That's what's most important above all. Right? And there's much we can take away from that example that he's setting here. And we already got the link for this. That was when we read earlier about Matthew chapter 20, about this cup. James and John partaking of the same cup Christ was going to partake in. So reading on in verse 43, it says, he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. So they're trying, but kept falling asleep. He says late at night, trying to hang on, trying to keep up, like So for folks that can't see on the live stream, we're going through the same temptation here in Philly. Try to stay awake. Verse 43.
43.
So that we're reminded, right? We're faced with similar temptation. So verse 44.
It sounds like you know what he's talking about. Yeah. Well, this is God, Jesus.
So it says, and he left them and went away again and prayed the third time, saying the same words. So 3 times he's setting the prayer up, right? That the Most High, your will be done, but just that if you could somehow, lessen the pain that I know I have to go through, could you do it? But let it be on your will, on your watch, please. So 3 times.
The way you want to do it.
So 3 times he set the prayer up. Each time went back to the disciples to say, like, get some encouragement, and they're, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sleep in my eyes, huh?
Oh.
I got sleep in my eyes.
I had a hard day.
So verse 45, it says, then cometh he to his disciples and saith unto them, sleep on now and take your rest. All right, good night, everybody. But now, in all seriousness, check out what he's going to say next. Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed unto the hands of sinners. So now, that moment when they finally went to sleep, he's like, sleep on now, because there's no need for you to pray with me anymore, because the time is at hand. They here.
They on me, huh?
Pretty much.
Like when you read the prayer, you got to put the thing on it. They said, yeah, y'all relaxing still, huh? Y'all still relaxing, still sleeping, huh? Hey, the time comes, get up. They gonna get you. They gonna come get you now. Now they tell them to, get up. When you read 46 got no leg. 45. So y'all still relaxing. Y'all still sleeping, huh? All right, get up. The hour is coming. You're gonna
come and get me.
Okay, so verse 46 says, rise, let us be going. Behold, he is at hand that doeth betray me. Right? So time is at hand. The person that says is going to betray you, he's here with the Pharisees, scribes, and Sadducees, right? Then it says in verse 47, and while he yet spake, lo, Judas, one of the 12, there's Judas, right?
Oh, Judas.
And came with him a great multitude with swords and staves, and the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now he that betrayed him gave them a sign, saying, whomsoever I shall kiss, that same is he, hold him fast. So he gave him a signal saying, yeah, I wanna kiss one, and the person that I kiss, he's the one that you're looking for.
Oh, so that's what Judas did.
Right. So remember, he already got paid the 30 pieces. So right. So then it says in verse 49, and just imagine the bittersweetness of this moment, right? You see it in some of the Jesus movies, right? When they got, but
He was slapped him and gave him a kiss. He already knew what he was going to do. He should have slapped him.
yeah, I'm sure a lot of us would probably have felt the will to do that.
But that's where it had to happen.
But Jesus actually knew what he was going to do, so he went to kiss him.
Is that it happens?
Script. It's a scripture. I like that.
And he's one of the guys that knew, that's not the first time Yahushua went great in that location.
Oh, he already knew this where
Yeah, and we read in verse earlier, when he was selling Yahushua, he was waiting for the right opportunity when to give him up.
Oh, okay.
I think it tells you that in, somewhere in the scriptures.
Yeah, he had to pick the right time.
I remember reading that.
Yeah. Because you got paid for it.
Right.
Yeah.
So verse 49, it says, and forthwith he came to Jesus and said, "Hail, master," and kissed him. It was kind of like, yeah, my master, but I'm selling you out to the crew. It's kind of like, bittersweet, like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Master, huh? Oh, really? I'm your Lord, huh? Really? Oh, okay. And then check out verse 50, right? So response. Let's see if we could hold it down like this when it comes to our brother if he were ever to betray us.
Okay.
Jesus said unto, remember, he's the example. Jesus said unto him, "Friend, wherefore thou art come?" Then they came and laid hand on Jesus and took him. So it's like, you see in the scriptures, it's kind of like, kind of like sarcasm, So it's like, oh, where you been, Or, oh, when'd you come? Like it's like a surprise, but it's not really a surprise, right? And then kind of call him friend, like kind of tongue in cheek, because he knew, what had to happen.
Right.
And it's crazy because it's like you said, the script to be, in the movie and then know like, hey, this is the role I got to play right now, and it's gonna be rough. But for the love of the people, for the love of my Father and His will, I'm gonna do it. So when it comes to character, I mean, we could speak hours on just the character of Christ. To just carry a portion of what He had to bear. Could we do it? As men and women of the nation. Y'all come.
Like the movie. I mean, it's not exact. It's not dealing with this yet, but it's like if you did play the movie 300. He didn't call him a friend or brother or whatever. He just like do that.
Oh, kind of. You guys remember the 300 movie with the Quasimodo looking dude that sold him out to the Persians? That's what he's talking about. Like you said, they didn't call him friend. We just said you there. But they tried to give him kind of that Christ-esque, thing because he told him, "May you live forever," right? He still gave him positive words. He was supposed to like speak on Leonidas' character, being, forgiving, even though he knew that he betrayed them to the Persians. Because he saw like what was his name? The Quasimodo looking dude? The hunchback. Yeah. You saw his response. It was kind of like, I wouldn't expect him to say that to me, Why would he tell me to live forever? Like he would any other Greek,
Right, like no animosity. Yahushua just proved that he was on the next level. He knew what was going to happen. He didn't hold that against it.
Right.
Because he knew it was written that had to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why I said friend,
You just call him friend, huh?
Not to mention, we're going to see it next time, we do the service, but when we get to what actually happens afterwards, we'll read the link in Acts that deals with that. But just like he said in verse 24, woe unto that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It had been good for that man had he not been born. So even like all things that Christ has to deal with, he's looking at him like, man, I got it bad, but you really got it bad, right? It may look like you got the advantage, selling me out, but I know what's coming for you in this life and the life to come. So exactly, like I said, we're not going to read it today, but we'll get it when we come to that point in the story.
What is in the world like keep your precious close to So even now, like how we are, like in Deuteronomy 20 and 68, that Esau is our enemy. I mean, now we know who he is, and he knows who we are. So we work with him, we deal with him on a certain level, but we know who he is.
Yeah, I think I don't know when I came across it, but like like those freestyles, like from the rappers from back in the day, think there's some video with like with 50 Cent was doing a freestyle. And he was
50 Cent.
he was going into that expression in the verse, and he was like, he said something to the effect of, you know, keep your enemies close, keep your friends close, enemies closer, because your enemies never change, your friends always do. That's interesting. That part where he said, because your enemies never change, but your friends always do.
Enemy, because you're gonna know he's an enemy. The friend is kind of.
So it's kind of, you know what to expect from the enemy when it comes to your friend. When situations arise, you know, that's when you really see, oh, this is what they are. You know, this is what they're made of. But reading on, verse 50, then Jesus said unto him, friend, wherefore art thou come?
Mm-hmm.
Then came they and laid hands on Jesus and took him. And behold, one of them, and we'll link a verse that tells you this one of them is, which were with Jesus, stretched out his hand and drew his sword and struck a servant of the high priest and smote off his ear. Right? So now, defending, you know, his Lord and Savior, right? His big brother. But check out the accuracy. Right? Clearly, whoever this was, he could handle himself, right? To be able to cut off an ear, right? And nothing else. Right? Because you just did.
Trying to cut his head.
No, he knew what
he was trying to defend Jesus, right?
Right. He knew what he was aiming for, and he said, cut the ear straight off. So it shows you right there, like, he can handle himself. To have that accuracy.
We had our tools on. In the world, somebody do that for you. That's your dog. That's your soldier.
Yeah.
That's your
soul man.
Yeah, that's your soldier. You can count on that man. He will ride for you.
And who else was it? None other than the rock of the church. You can link this up. 1 second. Don't forget your question. Link verse 51 with St. John, chapter 18, and verse 10. You read St. John 18 and 10, it tells you that Peter, he's the one that can handle himself. So yeah, he said, oh, he's a fisherman, you know, he's a blue collar, like we would say today. But he has skills with the sword too.
After that reaction, and he's gonna get his too.
St. John would make up Matthew 26 and what?
51.
Great. The whole ear. Jesus put it back on.
Yeah, that's what the Pharisees were saying. He didn't put it back on his own. He sewed it back on. He didn't use, you know, spiritual power. If he did it, he used the prince of devils to do it. Wasn't the Holy Spirit.
Oh, okay. Evil spirit.
No. I'm saying that's what they would have said to him. The Pharisees would have said it about Christ, because they were trying to deny that he was the Son of the Most High.
Yeah, some kind of evil spirit. You put it on there.
Yeah, but the Pharisees would have said it's some type of trick.
Right.
He didn't put it on with his power.
Right. Because they were denying that he was the Son of God. Right?
Oh, okay.
That's what I was. Yeah. He's a charlatan, you know. Stage tricks.
You put it on so quick, huh?
Yeah.
Right, you read that in other Gospels. So let's read on. It says in verse 52, then said Jesus, or Yahweh shah unto them, put up again thy sword into its place. For all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Take that out. Another statement for that situation, but also a statement we can use even now. So verse 52, of course, we can link that famous verse we oftentimes pull at camp. Revelations chapter 13 in verse 10, right? Where it says, he that leadeth into captivity must be taken into captivity. He that killed with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and faith of the saints, because we're trying to tell Peter and all those that will follow that example, now isn't the time, right? Now is the time for what? Me to be taken up for an offering for the people.
Revelation
chapter 13 and verse 10. The link with verse 52.
13 and 10.
Right. Remember, from that time of Christ up until 70 AD, that's what happened, right? Our people would try to fight the Romans or fight the oppression with the sword. Christ said, don't do that. He had a number of his disciples that were even part of the Zealots to fight against the Romans, because the Zealots, they were like a a militia group in Israel. Freedom fighters. They were fighting the Romans carnally. They would raid embassies and do like sneak attacks, you know. And then like after they do it, blend back in the population. So the Roman soldiers were like, where'd they go?
I want to know that they did it.
Right. So they used to use like hit and run tactics and stuff like that.
Okay.
But it was them and the opposition that they had over the next couple decades that was the led up to Vespasian and Titus coming in and actually destroying Jerusalem. So let's read on in verse 53. Like Khan, you mentioned this earlier. Thinkest thou that I cannot now pray to my Father? He shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels. So, you know, don't even think about trying to go to war with these guys now to protect me, right? I'm going to go with them willingly because this has to be done. That's what I've been telling you all this time. I've been teaching you. Now is the time. Now we're here. That's why it says in 54, how then shall the scriptures be fulfilled that thus it must be? So once again, resigned to his fate, he said, look, this has to go down. This has to happen this way. And as far as this, and also as we go down to verse 56, you could just link up the whole chapter of Isaiah 53. Because that whole chapter is pretty much talking about these things we're reading about now, the things that Christ would have to suffer. Where Isaiah talked about him in centuries ago, about him being wounded for our transgressions, right? By his wounds are we healed, etc., and so forth. Showing that Christ would have to go through these things for our sakes.
Read 55.
Oh yeah, that's the next verse. Everybody has Isaiah 53, yeah? Ah, crap.
Isaiah 53 and what?
I just said the whole chapter. I said it already. I just make sure everyone had that link. I don't do strike through. Won't let me. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay, got it. All right, so 55. In that same hour, said Jesus to the multitudes, are you come out as against a thief with swords and staves for to take me? I sat daily with you in teaching in the temple. You laid no hold on me. But all this was done that the scriptures of the prophets might be fulfilled. Then all the disciples forsook him and fled. Just like Christ said, you know, when he said it at first, they said, oh, no, not us. Peter said, no, not me, right?
He did it.
And once it happened,
Like black people. It's like niggas.
That's too heavy for me. I gotta go.
Jacob said, yo, let's get
I just finished cutting my ear off. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, yo, I cut his head and he cut it down. I'm out. So what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I can't fight them.
pretty much. We got orders from the leader.
I said, yo, I got warrants, man. I want
Yeah, man. Guilty by association, right? Right.
You're gonna get him, gonna be gone, and who I'm gonna rely on? You're out.
Right. But you see, even to this day, right, when it comes to like social media and like people in the public spotlight, even folks that aren't, you get associated with a certain group, and they say, "Oh, you with those people? You with those guys?" Right? Yeah, fear sets in because it's like, "Oh man, they find out I'm with this group, I might lose my job, lose my possessions." They make blackball, like we see with celebrities, they lose their sponsorships, right? Because they stand for a certain cause with a certain group. So it's like that fear sets in, like, oh man, I don't want to lose what I got. Let me just step off, or say, or just, I'll just take the knee, or I'll eat the pork sandwich, or whatever they gotta get you to do to compromise. But, think of it like that too, at that time. Not to say they compromise their values, but ultimately what Christ is saying is this has to happen. Nothing you can do about it. Let's continue on. Let's see what happens next. See Isaiah 53. Definitely read that chapter and consider it as it talks about the sufferings of our Lord and Savior. Okay. It says in 57, and they that laid hold on Jesus led him away to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and elders were assembled. So they brought him to the leader, right? Take me to your leader. 58. But Peter followed him afar off unto the high priest's palace and went in and sat with the servants to see the end. Right? So his most faithful servant, right? His rock. And stayed the closest. Wanted to see what was going to go down, right?
Right.
When they grabbed him. It says, now the chief priests and elders and all the council sought false witness against Jesus to put him to death. This is what I was talking about, what we were talking about before. We're going to try to figure out what to actually charge him on, right? Because we know in the truth, he did no wrong.
He'll make something up.
We know who he is, what he came to do. All he's done is spoken the truth and actually healed people, right? As far as the truth is concerned. So now it's like, okay, the Pharisees, Sadducees have him, grabbed him up. What's the charge they're going to bring against him? Let's see what they can finagle. It says, verse 60, but found none. Yeah, or yea, though many false witnesses came, yet they found none. So nothing held up, right? He's innocent, right? What can we say? It says, and the last came 2 false witnesses. So they had to put a false witness on.
Right.
And what did they say?
You at 58, right?
I'm at 61. So it says they brought the 2 false witnesses, it says in verse 61, and said, this fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and to build it in 3 days. So he's going back to something that happened earlier in the story, right? When he first started his ministry. Before we pull that link for verse 60, just write these verses down for verse 60, because even David wrote about this in the Psalms as far as false witnesses being brought against me, but it was a prophecy pertaining to Christ. You can just write down in verse 60, Psalms 27. Psalms 27 and verse 12.
The reason why I said you read it kind of see that they go this kind of like that Peter is a caution.
With his sword on. I'm gonna break him out.
No, he's a caution sheet. He's a caution sheet watching them going with y'all. When he felt powerless, he had a sword, he used it, then Yahushua put it back. He's like, man, at this point, man, this guy, right, you gotta stay away from him. I'm just trying to cut that guy. They put his head back on. No.
Right. So also you can write down Psalms 35 and 11. Yeah, man. Tough deal, man. We can only say what we ourselves will hope to do in that situation. So Psalms 35 and 11 as well.
You may go back and let him handcuff him again. I'm not gonna break it. I'm just gonna chill.
Yeah, I'm wait away.
And for verse 61, you can link up St. John chapter 2, verses 18 to 22. That's where he actually said that. When you read that story in John chapter 2, earlier on in the ministry, it tells you that when Christ said it, he was talking about, of course, his body, right?
John.
Chapter 2, verses 18 to 22. So you read that section, it's talking about, he was referring to his body, but you see, use the word temple. You know, temple referred to your body too. But they took it literal, certainly took it literal, like he's gonna, set up a bomb or something, blow up the temple, or, like we would say a bomb threat, Oh, he's claiming he's gonna blow up the White House. Like, what was that? The actress that made a comment and got in trouble, right? So they took it like that, like, oh yeah, he's gonna try to, do something to the temple. But they didn't know he was talking about his body dying and rising again, because he said, 3 days I'll destroy this temple, in 3 days I'll raise it back up.
Oh, okay.
So they took it,
his body,
right?
They say that's the only way you can get him. Got him on it.
But they're gonna try to use this witness. What's the read on? It's gonna tell us.
Oh, okay.
This is like trying to label him like a terrorist, you know? You know, he's gonna blow up the God's temple, really? So let's read 61 again. It says, he said, this fellow said, I will destroy the temple of God and to build it in 3 days. 62. And the high priest arose and said unto him, answerest thou nothing?
So, when you read it in the books, like in the first verse, in verse 60, it said many false witnesses came, and then the last two came before they're going to convict him.
Okay.
But he's there, and you got a whole bunch of people that's there, that's bringing up their own version of what they want to use to condemn him.
Okay.
Right? But as they come in, they don't agree with what their statements are, right? On how to accuse him. They're like, all right, we can't go with that. Y'all coming up here saying this, but you said something from what he's saying. I'm like, get out of here.
Okay.
All right, another one, right? So they come and they going through the same thing back and forth. All while Yahushua sitting there, he ain't saying nothing. He just sitting there looking at him going back and forth.
Right.
So the last two came. When you read in another gospel, they didn't agree on what they was bringing out as pertaining to Yahushua saying it with his body. So as he's sitting there, then they look back at Yahushua like, all right, listen, you just gonna sit there and ain't gonna say nothing? Right? And then they're going to ask him the question. But none of the false accusers that they brought agreed on their statements enough for them to say something. So it's going to be what Yahushua says that's going to give them the credence to say, all right, now we got him.
Oh, right. What he said going to condemn himself.
What he said. But what they brought wasn't what was going to be used.
Right.
Right? It was just that, I mean, these are things that he said and that he went through with the disciples and the people. But, you know, they don't agree. It's like anytime you get in court, you got witnesses. Now you bring a witness up, and then all of a sudden, like, all right, he comes down, they bring another one up. It's like, hold on, let me cross-examine this guy. Hold on, did you just say that such and such and such and such? Well, that's different from what the other guy said. Get him out of here. You can't use them. And both of them lying, but their stories don't match. So it's the same thing. None of their stories match. But the idea that they brought, it had all these false accusers, and they had to have false accusers, because he didn't do nothing.
Exactly. That's
they trying to make something up.
They're trying to get him, they're trying to catch him in his own words or statements that he made. But it wasn't anything like Khan just said that was wrong. They just lacked understanding and used it for the wrong purpose.
Okay.
Khan. So at verse 63 it says, and Jesus held his peace. Like you say, he kept silent. And the high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure thee by the living God, that thou tell us whether thou be the Christ or the Mashiach, the Son of God. Right? Like you were saying, Khan, this is the question they posed to him, right? You claim to be this man, Son of God, right? The Messiah that's been written about since old. Are you that man? Are you claiming to be that God? Jesus said unto him, thou hast said, like he told Judas, right? Am I the one to betray you? Thou hast said, nevertheless, I say unto you, hereafter you shall see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power. Oh, verse used to show that the God and power are the same. You said, you shall see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power and coming in the clouds of heaven. Right? So he's referring to, right, future prophecy as far as how he's going to be manifested and where he belongs in the heavenly realm, right? So he still spoke truth to power and agreed with his statement saying, you said this, right? And it says in 65, then the high priest rent his clothes saying, he has spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, now ye have heard this blasphemy. So they got him on quote unquote blasphemy, right? So with verse 65, well, actually, verse 65 and also 66. What think ye? They answered and said, he is guilty of death. So here's what they tried to pull. You can just write down Leviticus 24 in verse 16, which we just read this not long ago in the Sabbath service. This is what the, what was it, the son of the Israelitish woman that came with the tribe of Dan, but his dad was, I think, Egyptian, right? And they say he was cursing and blaspheming. And you read that law in Leviticus 24 and 16, it says, whosoever curseth and blasphemeth the Most High, the name of the Most High, he should be put to death, right? So that law was established there in Leviticus 24:16. So they're trying to use that against Christ as if he's blaspheming, but we know he told the truth, right, about the Son of Man. And really, he just acknowledged what he said. He said, you said that, right? So even with this, it still really doesn't hold up. But
Leviticus 6:65.
Leviticus 24:16. Link that with verses 65 and 66 that we just read.
Right.
Yeah, that was the best they could do, which still wasn't, worthy of a conviction, to be honest. But from their perspective, him just being an ordinary man, they would say, yeah, he's blaspheming God. He's trying to say he's the Son of God. Christ can only be what he is. And all the things that he did and said, for those that have eyes to see, ears to hear, and heart to understand, it was undeniable who he was, right? From riding to Jerusalem on a donkey, right, to being born in Bethlehem, to all other prophecies, right, that we read about. Even now, him being sold out for 30 pieces of silver, as horrible as that is, that was prophesied centuries ago. So he's the one. He's it. He is that Mashiach. So verse 67 says, then they did spit in his face and buffeted him, and others smote him with the palms of their hands, saying, prophesy unto us, thou Christ. Who is he that smote thee? Right? So spitting on him, putting hands on him, right? And then mockingly saying, yeah, prophet, tell us, in your vision, right? Who hit you? As he's getting hit from different directions. So see, this is recorded, and the Most High knows the souls that were there that were doing it, right? So,
Now, are these the Romans or these are his own people doing it?
I think this is his own people at this point. But then, as you read on, we're going to see he's going to give it to the Romans. They're going to do the real, really, really bring it down. Because remember, when you're reading the history, look up Sanhedrin, which is the governing body of Judea at this time that was, working alongside the Romans in many aspects, even though, like you said earlier, we did rule according to our own law. It tells you shortly after the time when Christ was on trial, like it might have been a year or so before, that we actually were able to do capital punishment. But it was a power that the Romans took from us right before Christ was to be crucified. Because, and it tells you in the Zondervan, you look up Sanhedrin at the end. Because you think about it, how did we put to death? People always make that argument, right? They say, oh, the Jews killed Jesus. The Jews killed Jesus, right? But they say, did they really? Did they even have the power to do it? At that time, when you read the history, no. And what was the form of punishment that Jews used? What was one of them? Stoning. What else? Say again? Yeah, or getting burned, right? Pretty much getting stoned or getting burned. But now crucifixion, being crucified, that was unique specifically to what empire? Who was known for doing this? Exactly. So even the fact he was crucified should let you know right there that couldn't have been us. We wouldn't even have done that. Right? That's it. That's the point.
That's when read Revelation 1:7. It says, behold, he cometh in clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him.
Wow.
And all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. So, amen.
Come. Absolutely. Yes. And I see right there, especially one of those Romans, if you see him in that day and then you get a little, I always make the joke, I'm not sure how it'll actually go down, if they'll know. Say when you see Christ manifested, right, as a heathen, say you were that soul in regeneration from the Roman times, you get like a quick deja vu. You remember yourself like attacking him, right, when he was on the cross, and it kind of clicks. Oh, that was me. You look back at him again in the sky and like, oh, everything's coming back around. like you kind of get it at that moment, and that's where the wailing comes in, because it's like, oh, we done so wrong. We done laughed at this guy all these years. Now here he is coming to collect, and we got to fight for our right to party still, and now we got to go to war. And like the scripture says, it's going to be an hour, so it's not like let me get ready. You better get ready real quick right then and there to do whatever it is you think you're going to do against him at this point.
Right.
But it's going to be like we always say, for those of us that are called into the truth and that are in the truth in that day, it's going to be the big "I told you so" day, right? I said, I hope all of us here are still in the truth at that time. But, you know, as those of us who are chosen are getting taken up into the chariots, we're going to be saying, yo, I tried to tell you. I tried to tell you. You thought we was, you made fun of us. You called us WWF Power Rangers, right? We told you it was coming down.
Right.
Now it's happening. I can see people try to grab onto us that are chosen as we go up. And grab on like, take me. It's like,
oh yeah, just like the
sorry.
I know.
Yeah, you had your chance. I think y'all coming in.
Yeah, I believe they're gonna be really, frantic, you know, because they're gonna really see that, and they're gonna be something.
Right. Let me make sure I make it clear. Pathak Mawak. I can see them doing it. I'm not saying it actually is written. I'm just saying I can see people trying to go up, trying to grab on it if they could. If someone by them is chosen. I'm not saying that's written. Then we had this conversation about Noah's Ark and, you know, where people like trying to climb on the ship, like the scriptures don't say.
Right.
We say, okay, I can see maybe someone trying to get a hold, but then most just had the water just pull them away where they can't even get to it.
Yeah.
But to say like, yeah, they were trying to climb the ship. Now it's like we're in that Hollywood, like, you know, like we've seen a movie.
Yeah.
But you read the scriptures, it's like, you don't see that there. You know?
Not for nothing, I know we're speaking about the Romans actually killing Yahushua, but what these brothers just did, I mean, to a certain extent, you know, these is the enemies anyway. But when your own family, your own people spit in your face, they said they buffeted him. You know, when you read about someone buffing someone, it's like, you know, the time when the cops arrest somebody, they put him in the back seat before he get to the precinct, they go down that alleyway. And they start punching him and hitting him and anything. By the time he get there, his face all lit off. These guys is doing this to Yahushua.
Right.
Yeah, buffering. And then it said, so you got people spitting on him. Number one, because some people are consider spitting in somebody's face or spitting on them is like the ultimate disrespect. Right?
It's
So
in the
then,
law. It's in the law, yeah.
Then they buffing and then they beating them up. And then you got some just slapping them, open hand slaps. Right? So all this is going down to Yahushua amongst his own people.
Okay.
Right? So remember when we were doing a class about reincarnation, we had brothers from the past during Moses' time who had sided on the wrong side of the Most High. Right? The Most High had the earth open up on them. They was written out of the book of life. But those spirits still come back. So at the same time, like when you got people of today, when they see the prophets or the sons of the Most High out there, they be the ones going hard on you, always wanting to see something like, no, don't deal with them. Those are them same spirits.
Okay.
So if they had the opportunity to go and have someone inflict personal harm on you,
they would.
Oh yeah, they would.
Okay.
Right? They would be the ones that champion it.
Okay.
So don't you know, we can't not forget that even when we read back, Yahushua say, yeah, they're gonna be two thrown in the mill. One gonna be taken, the other one gonna be left here. But how he conducted or how she conducted herself, wanting to go against this, they're gonna have to feel or get the same punishment along with those Romans and everybody else.
Right.
Because as I read this, I'm like, dang, man, if you amongst family and you see how we're going through different all types of climate of how everyone is against us, and you rise up to try to help and fight for and defend your people, and then you get those that turn on you. Then they beating on you. Then they spitting on you. Then they slapping you like, what the hell? Yo, I'm out here for you. I'm trying to save your life. And you want to take mine? Oh, man.
Right.
So unless they repent, for those who, you know, is not as harsh as others, but those who are not in the book of life, there's nothing you can do. I mean, the Most High know, we don't know. But for those who do have those same type mannerisms towards those who trying to help them out and save their life, they better repent. Because if not, man, it ain't going to be easy. Who was it? Who was talking to New Moon about the second death, man? Yeah,
the second one.
What the second death?
In 66 says, told them, they deliver unto be dead. That's right. To them, you guys are dead.
Yeah, he's dead, man.
It couldn't be any further from the truth. Yeah, man. Just a link with the verse 67 and 68 as far as the spitting. You can just link up these verses. You can link up. We'll read it next chapter, but Matthew 27 and 30. I think these are with 67 and 68.
Matthew 27
and verse 30.
Like, you know.
1 second, let me just pull the verses. Wow. You can link also 1 Kings 22. verses 24 and 25. That's Micaiah the prophet on Ahab, because they spit on him, hit him too, and mocked him. You also write down Isaiah chapter 50, verses 5 and 6. Isaiah 50, verses 5 and 6. Isaiah prophesying this as well. And then 3 more in the New Testament. Mark chapter 14 and verse 65. Mark 14 and 65. St. John 18, 22. And also Acts 23 and 2. Acts 23 and verse 2. So he did this to Paul as well. What?
But it's Jeremiah 5:26. All my people are found wicked.
Oh, y'all can only still took your verse.
Jeremiah what?
5:26. We know who the person that is selected as the wicked, which is ultimate. But wickedness, and nobody has monopoly of wickedness. Once you're not serving both sides, you're doing wicked.
Right.
Our people is wicked.
Come. True. Yeah, people get mixed up, right, Kahan, when we're out there teaching? They say, yeah, see, it's wickedness when you have a wicked in the earth. You have a wicked nation. Then you also have wickedness, you know? They're either one or the other, right? Anyone could be wicked, like, yes, we know. But you have a nation who plays the role of the wicked also. Okay? Explain it to them. God's not a respecter of persons. Yes, but he's a respecter of nations. Yes. Let's read that.
And 68.
So let's continue on.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just crossing through something here. Sorry. So verse 69 reads, "Now Peter sat without in the palace," and like you were saying, come quietly. He's like, and in the cut across the street, looking over, you know, seeing what's going down, right? It says, and a damsel came unto him, saying, "Thou also was with Jesus of Galilee," right? So got witnesses, right? Calling him out, saying, "Yeah, you were with him. I seen you with him." Because they all see who he is. They all know about him, and they say, "Wait a minute, you're one of his crew. You're one of his disciples," right? Verse 70. But he denied before them all, saying, "I know not what thou sayest." There's one time we denied Christ.
He denied.
Right. And it says in 71, when he was gone out into the porch, another maid saw him, said unto them that were there, this fellow was also with Jesus of Nazareth. So someone else saw him, recognized him, ID'd him, right? As they say. Yeah. I know you with that guy too. And just picture that. You seeing, your Lord and Savior, your leader, right? Your big brother, he's getting beat, hit up, all sorts of horrible things, and then they're calling you out. So you see that, you see what's happening to him, like, oh man, they grabbed me up. I'm gonna be put on the cross with him right now. Right? That could be a thought that enters your mind. Like, I'm about to go through the same thing if they make out who I am, right?
So that denied.
Only reason why he didn't bounce like the other one.
Yeah.
The other one gone. See, they didn't see the other one there.
He the only one stayed.
Yeah, he stayed just so that he can fulfill prophecy.
Yeah, come. Oh man. But y'all can.
I'm taking my garment off, man. I'm bagging it now.
Come. Or like we have like stories, like other brothers from other congregations, they can tell us stories where they're on a job and somebody recognized. I've had those myself where I'm on a gig and then somebody recognized me from downtown, and they see me and they go, "Hey, I think I seen you. I think I seen you somewhere, right?" Yeah, you were going to like, you got a costume party you were going to, right? I remember there's one Japheth I used to work with. He called me out because I think he saw me. I think one time we were on 69th Street, and I was just like, yeah, well, I have a familiar face. I'm not sure, if I'm the person that you saw, because I'm kind of trying to feel him out. But as I'm here, I'm like, oh man, you might have saw us at the camp, right? Because my whole thing on the gig is like, I'm not here to talk about, my personal life. I'm here to just get my job done and go on. And then, after I told him that, he kind of stopped and, because he was working on my computer, he was tech support. He was like, no, I think it was you. I think it was you. I just kind of shrugged my shoulders like, hey, all right, you said. I did a Yahweh shot. Thou says.
You let them know that was you.
I mean, I said, hey, okay. I was like, if you say so.
Right.
He just kept working on my computer, and he left, and that was it. But like I think in my personal, anytime I was approached, because it wasn't just him, it was the Edomite too. One time that I saw, and he was at the post office around the corner from the gig, and we ran into each other because he had came to the camp one time. We were having a conversation. Like I had the garment on and everything when we saw him downtown, and like I just played it cool. I'm like, hey, what's going on, guys? I'll see you Monday, right?
Man, you hate me. Get out of here.
Well, here's the thing, right? I saw the Edomite dude. He was kind of one of those Edomites that was like hung around like a lot of Israel, right? So he was, quote unquote, down, so to speak. But we saw each other at work at the post office around the corner. Hey, what's going on? Oh, pretty good. Yeah, good to see you. He's like, yeah. So how's that activism thing going? Oh, it's going great. He's like, oh, good to hear, man. All right, I'll see you later. I'll catch up with you at lunch. he called it an activism thing, but I didn't know an activism thing. Like, how's the activism thing going? Yeah. And I was like, oh, it's going great, man. Like I just rode along.
Roll along with the punch.
Put the peace sign up.
Because what I find is, if you get like extra nervous,
Right.
it'll make it work. So if you get like, like extra like denial mode, that's when they're like, oh, let me go call HR real quick on them. Yeah, with them guys teaching that hate speech. Yeah, you want him to work for the company,
Oh yeah, dime on
They'll
you.
rat you out. Just roll with it, because remember the Most High, He remote control everybody. Just roll with it, because Most High can just have them recognize you, then just do whatever they're going to do.
Okay.
But don't throw the guilt card out there. Just make it worse. Don't be guilty for being in the truth. You don't have to wear it on your sleeve. If you want to, that's fine. But you don't have to.
Right.
That's your personal business. Like they always say, with other people in different religions, it's like, why are you, you question me about what I believe, but you're not questioning anybody else about what they believe. What's the big deal? That's not why we're here. We're here anyway. And again, he denied with an oath, I do not know that man.
I don't know.
73. And after a while came unto him they that stood by and said to Peter, surely thou art also one of them, for thy speech bewrayeth thee. Then began he to curse and to swear, saying, I know not the man. And immediately the cock crew. So as soon as he said that third time,
Cock crow.
he heard the cock. And then once he heard the cock crow, that's when he remembered. Then it says in verse 75, and Peter remembered the word of Yahushua, which said unto him, before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice. It says, and he went out and wept bitterly. So like all jokes aside, like, this is just like a tough moment, because it's like you said to yourself, yeah, I'm down for the cause, I'm down for my Lord and Savior, and then him to tell me this, I told him no, I wouldn't, and I just did it 3 times, out of fear, and then I just clicked, just like he said it would happen. Right. It happened. Now I feel ashamed.
You feel ashamed on yourself that he did it.
But yet and still, and we'll get to this later on in the gospel, towards the end of the gospel.
He said that, you stick by his side.
Right, because he's still chosen to be his rock, even at this time of weakness. This is the power of mercy that the Most High is trying to teach us through His Son, and also when it comes to dealing with each other, because Most High already knows all of us, no matter how diligent we are, no matter how much we take hold of the truth when we learn, we're going to have our weak moments, right? The idea is to, if we do mess up, to repent, to overcome, because I always say this, if Christ not made His second coming, it's not too late. I'm y'all have dealt with brothers on them, they're like, oh, you know what? I'm hearing what you're saying. It's making sense, but not me.
I can't go with it.
Not me, because the dirt I've done in my life, the horrible things that I've done, what you're telling me, he'll never want me. It's like, brother, sister, listen, you're here. Christ didn't come back. If you're hearing this message, you got a chance to repent right now. Don't take this for granted. At the time of this ignorance, God winked at, right? You didn't know. Now you know. Try your best to stop doing that thing. But you'll see folks, they'll put themselves on the cross just like that once they start hearing the truth. Dead, or and they say, oh, not me. I'm not worthy. Just we got to tell them, look, we all have grace. We tell myself, I'm not perfect. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm still trying to overcome temptation, do it the right way, the best way. Right? And if Christ is not back yet, you still have a chance.
Right.
Also, looking at it, reading on Paul, right? You kind of like, we might get into the mood of spectating or just as a spectator. The movie continues. We in the movie right now.
Right. Well, we in the movie. You right.
As it's being played, we might think, oh man, that was Peter back then. The same movie, the same thing they told Peter back then. It's like the same way we're sitting right now. Don't know what the tomorrow holds, but everything is written.
Right.
It's not like, we on the sideline, we watching the movie. The movie's still being continued. Everybody's playing a part.
Everybody playing a part.
Yeah, no doubt. And the question is, by the end of the movie, where we're going to be at. Are we going to be victors or champions? Like Paul said, we run a race. So, third lap around, you might be in a bad position. But that third lap, so you got 4 laps to go, you can make a difference, right? That second wind can kick in, right? You catch some people, pick your pace up, and by the time the 4th lap gets around, you're in better shape. To where now, you're in a position of catching the bronze guy, the silver, and the gold guy at that point to take their position. So the race is still going, so we still got a chance to get back in the race and keep running so we get that prize. We'll read a verse to go with this, but after we come back from break, a little bit after 2:30. So most times we'll reconvene around 3 o'clock. Hopefully to get something to eat. Something doesn't require heat, obviously, since it's the Sabbath. And most times we'll talk to everybody then. So Shalom. Talk to you in about a half. Yeah.
So, and